the dark, standing tales from the void never bark. Movie shows, they tear apart. Dimensions clash, they ignite the spark. Couch debates, turn the volume up. Set the chaos over for the cup. Alien worlds and twisted scenes. Banter spreads like electric dreams. Outer dimensions strike away. Trying days set flames ablaze. Discussing bits and cosmic plays. Beyond the stars they find their praise. They find their praise. Ripping through the deep.
Hey guys, welcome back again to the Outer Dimensions podcast, the channel where a couple of crazy guys chop up the movies, TV shows, and anything else in between. Welcome back again, guys. This one is a very special one. And before Dre, gets up and starts talking for the next 2 hours,
What the
I'll
fuck?
give you, brother.
Am I the one that always talks so much? You talk more than I do.
Jeez, I talk all day long, then I come on
What
YouTube
do
and talk.
I?
Jesus.
Folks, you guys realize we get paid regular day jobs to talk to people and listen to their problems. Then we do this for shits and giggles. So this is actually the more fun one.
Craps and laughs.
Crap.
I like how you almost had the Freudian slip. Free.
Free.
But no, Dave's right. This is a little bit of a different episode, and I have been actually looking forward to this for quite some time because I actually had the privilege of getting to be invited on to Latin Legions by just being in their chat several times. And these four guys are awesome. I absolutely love the fact that we had a bunch of collectors in the community that are very similar to myself, because you don't see many minority collectors that are very prolific on YouTube. And when
You collect minorities?
I do. You didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Look, you didn't see
I thought that was your wife.
Look, I got a Samoan.
I thought that was your wife that
And I got a Wakandan. We're good. No,
Got the
folks.
basics down.
Exactly. Don't cancel me, folks. Don't cancel.
Wait till you get that miles.
I know. Wait, I got him. He's already there. He's already up
Right,
there.
you go.
But it was a great time. It was a lot of fun, and I invited all four of them. But obviously, due to scheduling and things like that, we were able to get my boy from the Latin Legions, one of the several good hosts on that show. We got Tony Toys. Folks, you got to thank this guy. If you have not subscribed to his channel, Dave will have his links in the channel.
And the links are in the video description below, guys. So go ahead and check him out, both on Instagram and on YouTube. So go ahead and please check him out. Before we begin,
Hold
Tony,
on, I just wanted to say I had to temporarily rebrand myself as Danny Danger so we can have Triple D's on the show.
there you go.
I love that. I absolutely, folks.
Me too. I love Triple D's too.
I do.
I mean, what's better than double D's? Triple D's. There you go.
Listen, bigger's always better.
Hey.
Oh, it's facts.
No, Dre. Remember what we say: quality over quantity.
Yeah, but sometimes bigger is just
Yes.
always better, bro. I'm just gonna say it like that. 1/6 scale sometimes better than a 1/12 scale. Just saying.
So, Tony Toy, Danny Danger, Double D, Double T. There you go.
What is he? Double J, JEFF.
Hey. So, for anyone that doesn't know, what is your content all about? Break it down for us.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Tony Toy. I'm part of the Latin Legions Action Figure Podcast on YouTube with three of my homeboys, Alberto, Matt, as well as Ed. And we
Every
host a
Sunday,
podcast
right?
Every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We host a toy show that involves games, icebreaker games, toy talk. We're centric around mythic legions and fantasy action figures. But we talk a variety of pop culture. We have guests, as Dre was on. And we also have community companies that are part of the community, such as employees from Mythic Legions. We have upstarts coming out. There's a company called From the Realm that's doing a new fantasy line involving vampires. which is very cool. That's one of our episodes that we had. So we're very community centric and enjoy participating with the chat as well as engaging with the games that I said. So it's kind of laid back, you know. It's not about too much about news, but we do include what's going on within the week.
And folks, you need to, when you are in the chat, you actually are being responded to. That's the one reason I really gravitated to Latin Legions when I was watching their chats. Like when I participated in the chat, I was not just participating with other members of the community. They actually responded to me directly. They were addressing me by name. And to me, that is something that we do here. We've been doing that here for years. It's something that I feel like I think it's lost in the hierarchy of YouTube. Some people feel like, oh, I'm too big to respond unless you pay me. I don't give a shit about the money. No offense.
Right.
I have a day job. We all have day jobs. So I do this for fun. So if you want to respond only to people that are paying, that give you a little tip, cool. That's fine. That's your thing. I don't do
I'll
that.
give you a tip. Don't bet on the Bills.
You know, water's wet. The sky is blue, folks. We all know the obvious things.
And old Satan Claus, he's coming for you.
And prior, guys, and prior to starting Latin Legions with these four guys, I have a review YouTube show called Toy Locos with Psycho Ed. So we have the monikers Crazy Tony and Psycho Ed.
Love it.
I'm also doing a comic book podcast with my homie Cobra Dad called The Weekly Habit, also on YouTube, which is a little R-rated. Yeah, so it's
Oh,
And
I gotta check that out.
promoting your link right now for the Toy Locos channel right there.
oh, thanks, brother.
Yeah, Rolando is the universal moderator. So whenever you need anything, he will find the links and drop them like it's hot. That's why we
Thanks,
love him.
Rolando.
Now we call him I don't know if you're familiar with him, but we call him the multiversal moderator because you could go through 20 different streams that night.
He's in every single
The
one.
man is in every stream. Okay,
He's
Like-
multiple man.
like think of the Matrix. You know how you're jacked in.
Mhm.
That's Rolando. Like he is jacked into like screens in every room. I swear it's like you see those TikTok videos with the guy on a bicycle and he's got like just a massive tray of like cell
Didn't I-
phones going across. That's him streaming.
I coined it best. If you think about him as Lucius Fox from Batman, you see when he looks at all the screens, it's like that's him. He just has
There we
all
go.
these screens. I love it. And look at
I
my
got,
boy.
I got a
Beast.
challenge. I got a challenge for Rolando. Rolando,
Oh.
try to find The Weekly Habit on YouTube. I've had trouble finding it until I actually was the co-host.
Oh, look
Weekly
at
Habit,
that.
you.
I can't even imagine like he's got to have something like beyond spreadsheets for all the links that he has because he is Johnny on the spot. As soon as someone mentions something, it is there.
He just has a room with giant servers and multiple
I'm saying
monitors.
he does. And then he toy hunts on top of all that. Like the guy doesn't just moderate. It's like, oh, I'm gonna toy hunt and give you that content
Listen,
too. So it's
he is jacked into a computer that is jacked into a flux capacitor. He is past, present, and future, every dimension possible.
Just
Infinity
jacked into his
Gauntlet.
nipples.
Exactly. He's just like got the clamps on. He's just
right
like,
there. Boom. Rah.
going Super Saiyan. I love it. I love it. But one of the fun parts of when I was on Latin Legions was, and I'm gonna let my boy Triple D over here because he said like I've never encountered anybody with the level of knowledge of movies that Dre has, and I felt kind of flattered because some of it my wife and I have cracked. It's the joke that it's useless knowledge just sitting up here in the dome. But it was funny because, you know, when they did this really fun interactive icebreaker game, which we had a lot of fun doing, and it really made me stretch my brain like on some of these obscure things that I thought they were going to stump me on, and they were like, "Damn, we can't stump this guy."
You use 12% rather than 10% of your brain.
I'm saying, man,
Good.
but it was so much fun, and I think that we need more channels like you, and like doing this in the community. And I feel like we are starting to see a little bit of that now. Maybe it's because of the dragon, maybe it's not because of the dragon. I don't know, but it feels good, you know, to have you on here with us. Like I said, eventually
My pleasure.
we want to bring all y'all guys on here, and I know Ed is hilarious. Love
What
the
dragon
show.
are you guys talking about? I haven't seen a single video on YouTube the past
Wait,
3 weeks about
Wait,
any
you
kind
don't
of a
mean
dragon.
you don't mean you don't know about the dragon? Not Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee.
Don't go chasing it.
Don't I mean, if you got the money.
Kiss my Converse. What? Huh? What? Oh no, not that dragon. Okay.
And a big shout out, first off, big shout out to my boy Beasts. That's my boy. He is super awesome. He actually was talking with me last night. Dave, we got him coming on May 30th. He wants to talk about some really cool stuff. So we are definitely looking forward to having you on, and definitely follow him. He is a up and comer on YouTube, and he's definitely going to be, he's a supporter of our channel, and he will be supporting because we got to get more people into the toy habit. I feel like we got to do this. So expect him to, he's plays on PlayStation, but I think we're going to have to dig our claws into him and get him to like some toys. He's got kids too, so we got to get you.
Well, if anyone's going to hook him in, you've got your youngest.
I mean,
picking figures out. I mean,
well, we got the official enabler here. Dave Dimensions almost enabling me to get some.
No. I'm not the enabler. He tells me how he will go to Target to get some household goods.
That's
and
true.
His little one is picking out Marvel figures on her own.
She picked out one today.
Mostly Spider-Man oriented.
I can't go wrong.
Favoring Miles Morales, of course. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh no, she picked up a Spider-Gwen today.
Even when there are no leaves up there.
Listen, Walmart today, she cleaned up today. We went to Walmart. I was in and out real quick because I had to get home for work. What does she do? She goes up to the aisle and she goes like, Papa. And I'm like, okay, you've been good today. Like, she actually was really good for my parent-teacher meeting I had to go to. $4, I don't mind. My wife looked at me and was like, $4? I was like, yeah. I said, or do you want to spend $40 like on the one she wants in the shelf? Because she wants the ones that Uncle Dave got.
I do the same with my son. I'm like, we're at Walmart. He wants something he'll play with once. And I'm like, no, we'll go to a Dollar General and you can pick out a couple of things.
You can get the $5, $10 piece. I ain't getting you the $40 piece. You get older,
Right.
maybe.
I'm good. I have cats. The only person I have to occasionally buy a figure for is Mrs. Dimension. So
wait. Hold up. Blue, what is it that you're talking about that you said you don't understand the date Devil Born again unless they watch the complete series on? I am missing something to that, bro.
No, he's
Daredevil. Okay.
Daredevil.
So can I address this briefly? Because I want to get on my high horse I've been watching.
I just watched.
I mean, you can address it briefly or boxerly, however you want to do it. It's up to you, bro. Just keep something on.
So I posted a short because
short.
This is not me attacking anyone in the community. I'm going to preface that right now. I have no problems calling people out and saying your name and putting you on blast. I love my friends, but there have been a few people I've seen in the community, and I'm going to say a few because there's more than one person that I've commented on things complaining. They're complaining about the show. So I have said, I live by the rule of 3. It follows it in comic books, 3 issues. If it's a movie, I give it, I give it 3 tries. If it's a TV show, 3 episodes. If it's a book, 3 chapters. If you don't hook me in that, I walk away because it's a waste of my time. And I'm sorry, my time for us is precious. If you're married, you have a significant other, you got kids, you're single, or when you got time, you want to spend your time doing things you want to do. So I've been just seeing this vitriol about a police procedural and just odd comparisons and a lot of I had a guy in a Facebook group bitch and moan. Like, why are you watching this show? And I'm like, so I hit him up. I was like, dude, you may be the mod of this channel, of this group, but every time something popular comes out, you bitch and moan about it. Stop. It's not cool. You're 50 years old. Do you have nothing else better to do with your time? The show is good. It has got tons of rave reviews. Go look at I don't like the aggregators, and y'all know we use them here. But I hate the aggregators. You have 2 eyes and a brain, and you pay for Disney Plus. Stop the fucking bitching. You don't want to watch it? Get the fuck off. I got one new subscriber.
Change the channel. Change the channel.
Is there anything the vocal minority doesn't bitch about?
Listen, the vocal minority can bitch about it, and I agree with that, and I don't mind. We all are allowed to have that, but I think it's just when you hate to hate for no reason, or you're looking at like, I'm gonna look at this clear bottle of water, full of water, but there's something in there. There's nothing in here, but there's something in here that I have to find about.
Nitpick, yeah.
Collectible fun, I agree. 3 drinks, but then you know what? Depends on how good you can hold your alcohol. If you can't, I don't drink anymore.
What's up, Matt?
So
that's one of my homies from Latin Legions. Shout out.
Hey, but I will say this:
welcome to the stream.
I might hit the floor because I don't hold my alcohol anymore.
No,
but I agree. Daredevil's fire, and you need to get off its dick.
I enjoyed the first episode with my wife. Yeah,
listen,
facts.
I loved the Netflix. I love how dark and gritty it is. But we're seeing Daredevil in the light, as it were. A lot of people made that comparison. I'm loving the hell out of it. And honestly, let's be honest, Matt Murdock is a lawyer. The people that he goes after are those who get away with crimes after judgment has been supposedly made in a courtroom. If you have a problem with that, maybe you shouldn't be reading or watching Daredevil and move on to something else. So far, in my opinion, right now, with the this is probably the best Marvel show, live action show, since Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I was about to say there better be a butt, and it better be related to those 2 guys up there.
Yes, sir.
Because that was the best show.
I mean, like look at some of the Marvel shows we've had. We've had Agatha, which Wanda was a struggle bus because they were changing the what's the word I'm looking for? They were changing the background. They were changing the groundwork and the layout of the show each episode until we got to the later episodes because you didn't know exactly where things were going at first. Hell, the Nick Fury series we got. I was psyched for it, and it felt like it was struggling big time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it didn't connect with the Nick Fury that we saw in the Marvels movie either. It felt
way later in the way, and like if you had to get a few episodes more than the 3 in to get it, and you had to give it a shot. Yeah. But before I continue, collectible fun, I would say I ignore the clicks, and I don't go on people's channels and watch their videos for it. Where I'm seeing it sadly is in the like Facebook world. Like I'll go scrolling through Facebook just like looking at bullshit, and it's like it'll just be these vitriol messages. And I'm like, I filtered a lot of it now because I'm just like, God, it's like, so many people complain. The gentleman that we lost, Hector Ayala, R.I.P., a fellow Puerto Rican that we're never going to ever get to see this.
A long-time General Hospital actor, too.
Exactly. And
he was a great actor on there way back when.
Listen, sick, dying of cancer, was on set. And I'm not going to blow up the spoilers. If you have not understood how important a character like him is to us as a people, Latinos, to see a Latino superhero represented in a major way. This isn't Miles Morales yet. We're not there. We're at a point where we're taking a lesser known C-list level hero, street level, not well-known superhero, and giving him a spotlight. And we're spotlighting an actor that did pass away. To me, there's so many levels to it that you have to peel that onion down to that layer and really understand that the deeper story of what they're telling, the relationship between him and his wife, there's so many dichotomies that you can draw from this that eventually Dave and I will probably do when the show's finished this season. We will probably come back and do a full-on review.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Because the character, at least and stuff that I've seen and how I received it, Disney, get off your asses and explore the opportunity of maybe telling his background and his story from the beginning, from the animated perspective.
I don't want it animated. I want his niece. Give me the niece, because that's what they had in the comics. Give me the female version, which is his niece or his daughter. It's his niece and his sister.
But I still would like to see the beginning of his story, though. Personally,
an animated version would not be bad. I would still like to see that. Like, I don't disagree with you. I think we need that.
Or do a live action, but cast a younger actor who looks very similar to him, or someone who can definitely deliver that performance.
That was tough because episode 3 was powerful, but I'm not gonna go. I don't want to go into it because for those of you, if you have not seen it, spoiler alert, it is, I think, by far the best episode of the series so far, hands down.
I'll say this: Disney and Marvel have delivered probably the best Marvel content we've had in a long time, back to back with the animated Spider-Man show that they just delivered us.
Oh yes,
and now Daredevil. Okay, that might be a hot take for some, but let's be honest, they haven't had back-to-back hits when it comes to Marvel TV, not for a long while.
You know what? I would say I would agree with you if you look at it from WandaVision and from, I would say, Winter Soldier and Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Those were back-to-back, and those were great. But ever since then,
but Wanda struggled in the beginning, let's be honest.
Mandalorian and Andor, you could probably only make a base comparison to Mandalorian and Andor because Andor was, I rewatched it recently and I would give it
Andor's a great show.
Solid. It's a solid show. Yeah. And I think Mandalorian,
if you take away the title of Star Wars, you forget that it's a Star Wars universe and just focus on this is a sci-fi show or a sci-fi suspense thriller, then yeah, you can go with that. But people didn't look at it this way. Oh, this is Star Wars. What is there a show about Star Wars taking place on a planet and not being out in space? Star Wars has a lot of different stories, and there's a lot of the mainstream people that are doing the bitching and griping, not the people who might have read the novels years ago. There's so many stories that they have untapped.
Hell, play the MMORPG. Huh? If you played the original MMORPG back from the early 2000s, that was set in the High Republic of the times that you would be seeing the Acolyte. I mean, you know what? Let's not even go there because that's in 2 weeks. Because in 2 weeks, you already know we got our boy Archer to come on, and it's funny. A lot of people thought I was.
Hey Ricardo,
Rico, I'm gonna say it just like this. There's no disdain between me and Archer because I've been hearing like a lot of sprinkles in the community. Folks, Archer is one of the coolest dudes with me. Me and him are tight as hell. The whole thing was kind of a shoot promo from a wrestling perspective. I did that because I wanted to draw y'all's attention to seeing him because Archer's opinions are solid like ours, and he likes to fight. He will defend his stand on his hill.
He does do his research on the numbers. We all know this. But I want to touch base to the comment here. That is 100%. Mm-hmm. Think about, there are people out there who their content is 95%. Bringing out the negative. Bringing out was it neurotic him. There's so many different channels out there that focus on bringing out the negativity because let's be honest, we all grew up. Well, I was going to say we're all byproducts of the Jerry Springer generations. Where we would watch people be the worst. Jenny Jones.
You went there.
Lori.
Not only
Lori. Jenny. Ricky, when she first came out, before she got legit, because she legitimized herself after a while. But those were the shows, and after Jerry left, we had Steve Wilkos. But those were the kinds of
and the daddy of those. Remember Cops as well.
Yeah,
Bad Boys.
Okay, that's the thing. It's when you see a car crash on the road. A lot of people still slow down because they want to know what's going on. What happened? You're not going to see what happened. You don't know what caused it. Speak.
Say his name.
What happened. They want to
say his name. There you go. Heard my name and Jenny Jones. I endorse that clip.
Listen, Archer. I love you, brother. That's why I put it out in the universe.
But that's the thing.
We all got to buy red glasses.
Yeah. No, that was Sally Jesse Raphael.
Oh yeah. Jenny Jones. Okay,
Jenny Jones. She was a nice slender blonde girl.
Yeah,
her mid to late 30s, close to 40s, but she was still smoking.
She had breast cancer. I remember that.
Just saying, yeah. But no, I 100% understand that because we see people who build content around that. There are some good channels that actually do the research. Some not so much. There are some that run with a breadcrumb and they try to just like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. We're seeing it with I'm forgetting the actress's name from Stranger Things, red-haired girl that is just signed up for the new Spider-Man movie. So many people are like, "Oh, she's going to be Mary Jane." One, you don't even know that. You don't even know that, for one. Two, there is I've seen other people report about this. There's a recent storyline where there's a Peter Parker has a sister in some of the recent comics. Some people are talking about that. How about this? How about we like wait to find out what role she's actually going to play before we start just kind of spitballing? But people are doing that. People are like, oh, she's going to be the MJ. No, how do we know? She could get a different hair color. I mean, come on, Emma Thompson, or is it Emma Watson? Emma Stone, yeah, Emma Stone. When she wasn't a natural redhead. She was she was mostly redhead, but she went with the blonde hair to play Gwen in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. You don't know. She could be changing, but people are running with the breadcrumb, and they're running with it like they stole it, and like, oh, look at this, look at this. Just calm down. But there are definitely, let's be honest, negativity. It breeds more negativity, but people run with it because it gets people talking. They may not be the best kind of talking, but it gets them talking. There's an old saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And, some people take that to heart, and sometimes it can do a little bit more damage than good. Now, what Dre's referring to is there's been a few toy tubers who are jumping on the negativity bandwagon. When you see something like that, you kind of know it's not genuine.
I'm sorry for laughing, man. Archer, you kill me, bro. You kill me.
Can't make it in 2 weeks. Gonna rebrand into a hardcore Republican channel and can't talk to you woke fools.
That's okay. We'll get Brick.
Archer, are you going to become a flat earther? Archer, are you becoming a flat earther on us? But we just wanted to kind of like touch base on a few things. But what we're here to talk about, what's something that at least the three of us all love?
Toys? Boobs?
Horror movies.
Oh, okay. Sorry, because we were talking about boobs backstage.
Boobs have always had a prominent place in horror movies. Let's be honest.
That's
amen. Right. That's
amen.
True.
Hallelujah.
Sleepaway Camp.
So let's we gotta hit you. We gotta hit you, Danny. We gotta hit you, Danny Danger. See, Mr. Danger. We wanted to we want to spotlight
Agent Danger.
See, we have to spotlight you, and we don't have to, but we love to because you're the guest of honor. And when we spotlight your list, Dave and I challenge ourselves because, out of the millions of pages of ideas,
and honestly, this was hurting me.
It was.
This was hurting me because let's give him a little bit of background, Dre. Okay.
Well, let me go first, and then we'll give him the background. Okay. So when you and I
was going to talk about my background, but go ahead.
I gotta go. Well, he's the guest. You can wait. So he and Dave and I were like, Dave's like, get the list from him. And I'm like, okay, I'll get a list from him. So I was like, oh shit. All right. As I'm not going to do a squirrel right now. So I'm texting him. We're going back and forth. And he then tells me his list. I get his list and I'm like, okay, interesting list. We kind of did something similar a while back, and I was like, so I said, Dave, do you want to do something completely off kilter? Like, let's spotlight his list, but we'll pick really shit movies. Like, let's go find the worst movies. And Dave's like, we got this. So me and Dave were on the phone for like 3 hours one night, and then we scrapped the idea because we were like, oh shit. We thought the time frame was this time to this time. So then when I looked at his list and updated it, I had to correct the list and get it to the new time frame. So it was everything that Dave and I had to then do, which then presented a whole new set of challenges. Because we were like, well, how could we formulate a list of horror movies that we like at this time period? Because some of these are not even on our main list that we did 2 years ago. So it was a lot more fun. And I've been enjoying this because I feel like you as a guest get to be spotlighted, but it's challenging us as the hosts to really, really push. Oh my God. Archer. Jesus. Oh God, this is a Friday, folks. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I swear, I wish I drank sometimes because this would be even more fun.
You know what makes that even more hilarious, right? It's Lent right now.
I know. I know. Oh my goodness.
But
I guess I shouldn't have that steak.
hey, I had pizza
Archie, you're
tonight.
never done.
I had pizza tonight,
Put
man.
some pepperoni on that.
There you go. Yep.
I made homemade Chinese. So
Your boy was raised Catholic, but not practicing. So,
oh yeah, that's how it is. So,
You know.
so Dave, now you can provide your background. So
he says, "Okay, I'm done." Okay.
So now,
one, you got to realize I'm someone who I grew up watching horror movies all the time.
same here.
Okay. I mean, when I was like 10 and 11, I was seeing everything. You're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 back from the 80s when they were like chopping people up using them for a prize winning chili sauce, to Hellraiser, to so many different horror movies. So when Dre says, okay, we have to pick 3 in an honorable mention between 91 and 2005, I'm like, Jesus, how do I pick?
Because the list.
Because I mean, there's there's a lot of great movies, but also there's a lot of movies between that time frame that kind of genre skips.
Yeah.
I mean, you had
Beast. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at what Beast said.
Yes, I was, in fact.
Big time. You were seeing them cheetahs.
Oh yes.
Those
Yes.
Triple D's,
but I mean,
right there.
exactly. They're right there. The
Teetas. But that's the thing. It's like there's so many great movies, but there's a lot that kind of genre skipped. I mean, we could say movies like Mimic. There's like, I mean, I actually considered End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gabriel Byrne.
Really, we're gonna go. Wow, that's a deep cut, right?
Well, there. It is a horror movie. You know, you're dealing with the devil, Stigmata. You got his minions all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of. One I thought about was Pitch Black, because it's that's a great one. But it's like okay, I'm gonna pick stuff that, and I decided, at least for my picks, are picks that these are movies that I enjoy, even that I personally enjoy. I can watch over and over again, and I thought they were just different. They're kind of a cut above some of the other movies of that time. So, Dre, what about you? Tell us your background, your origin.
So, Jesus, when it comes to horror films, and one of the things I know, when I think of horror films, I remember my parents. It sounds sad, so it's going to sound sad, but it's kind of interesting how my life turned. So when I was like 14, my parents got separated, and then we went and lived with my aunt and uncle in the Bronx. So we're like, my aunt and my uncle, like we had a couch in the living room, but on Fridays,
shout out to the Boogie Down, right? Shout out to the
Boogie Down, baby. That was the Friday nights were bumping. And we had, like, my uncle was always going to the video. We used to go to the mom and pop video spot, and my uncle would always, like, he was that cool uncle. He was a retired. He's now a retired police officer. But like, if he wasn't working, if he wasn't working a shift at Rikers, he would come and he would get like a R-rated film that we would watch. Now my aunt was super conservative. Like, did not like, if they cursed in the movie, she was like really pissed off. But my mom didn't give a shit. My mom's like, whatever. I don't. He's old enough. He knows better. I'm like 14. I know better. Shit. Yeah. Awesome. Boobs. Like, win. Violence. Win. And I was kind of exposed to a lot of horror films that I probably wouldn't have been exposed to, like Chopping Mall, Critters. Going down the list is the movies that have ruined me, like Stephen King's It. Cujo. Jaws. I would consider Jaws a horror film to me because I don't go swimming in the ocean. I'm fucking terrified of sharks.
Deep Blue Sea?
Well, not that. That's kind of a different, But when I got older is really where I kind of felt like horror films became more of a palate cleanser, where I was starting to look and get like some really good taste of what a horror film really is, more atmospheric. And it's this subgenres like supernatural, paranormal, alien, monster, demonic, vampire, zombie, whatever you and me and Beast actually just talked about this a couple nights ago as we were looking at the subgenres, just kind of going back and forth, just like talking about this. It's amazing how some of these horror movies I feel have shaped my adult viewing, and even in my top 10 movies of all time, a list eventually we will do on this channel of movies I think you need to watch before you go. Is there are two of them are horror films. I feel like two movies you have to see in life are horror films because they are not just pieces of art. There's the storytelling, there's development of character, there's this air to it that just sets them apart. And I think that that's what's so cool about horror films. We always think of like the villain, like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, or Pinhead, but you don't think about like the depth behind those characters, the reasoning for what they do, or the lore behind it. And I think that that's why I kind of fell more in love with the genre as I've gotten older. And my teenage daughter has been more expressive in wanting to watch more horror films, and she's been watching a lot of stuff that turns my stomach now. Like I'm kind of like, oh, like ooh, but she'll watch it, and it's interesting to see her takes on it because she's very artistic and sees things in a different scope, and I like that. So I think what this list will represent from myself, Dave, and Danny Danger over here, we're going to be giving you guys a lot of, I think, bang for your buck. There's going to be a lot of weird films, and, you guys know how we roll. We go over the list.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
You guys are going to see what we pick, and, if you guys want to pick it apart with us, feel free, just like we always state, be respectful. We all crack jokes and we all can have fun, but at some point, whatever people pick is their pick, and that's the fucking way it goes.
I'm going to add this to this, though. I'm going to add this little statement. Just like with your favorite foods and your favorite tastes, our list right now may change down the line.
They did, didn't you? Don't you think so?
Yeah.
From 2 years ago, Dave?
Yeah.
Even you could agree, right? It's
even from 1 week to the next. I changed it.
Oh, see, week to week? No, I'm more of a year to year where things may shift like that.
I mean, think about this. You're always changing in life, right? You're not the same person you were when you're 10. You're not the same person you were at 20, 30, and so on and so forth. I mean, hell, we see that with YouTube. In fact, 5 years ago, this one idiot decided to start a YouTube channel, did his first video. It looked terrible. And now the guy kind of has come more of a polished look. Things change over 5 years. But let's go ahead and get our list going.
Oh, wait. So doesn't that sound, Danny, doesn't that sound kind of what you and I talked about when we were talking about getting up there with age? Me and my knees?
Yeah, definitely.
Facts. All right, to the list. So the cheat sheet, as you all know, this is the great cheat sheet that I love doing. I love to try to find backgrounds. I've been trying to tailor these even more so to our guests and having a little bit more fun with it. So I hope you guys enjoy this. And
we have a few people on this background image that you have. One of them who was not honored this year in memoriam, which I think was a big friggin' travesty. Screw you, Academy Awards, and screw your Oscars. That's all I gotta say about that. Our boy Tony Todd was not represented.
But you know what, though? They don't always hit the important ones with this show.
Nope. Golden Globes, many others do, though. So,
all right, so let's hit the list, and let's see what we got. So we're going to start at number 3.
Beast, he's calling us out. Come on.
Oh, no,
make me proud. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, no, he is a self-proclaimed horror fan and has argued with me tooth and nail while we've been playing Marvel Rivals. So I'm very looking forward to having him come on the show and go tit for tat with us.
Now, self-proclaimed, is that like Howard Stern being a self-proclaimed king of all media?
It's sort of like The Rock being the self-proclaimed people's champion. He's not. That's Cody.
So are you
Yeah.
saying Beast is going to eventually become the final
Final
boss?
I'm listen.
Hey,
I listen. I only acknowledge
if there's a steady
my
paycheck in
tribal
it,
chief.
if there's a steady paycheck in it,
Yep.
I'll believe anything you tell me.
All right, John Cena. I don't see you.
That was
I know what you meant.
yeah. Come
I
on,
know. I
come on,
know.
come
Go
on,
ahead.
Sensei.
Hey, listen.
So,
Shut the fuck up. All right, let's get to the list and see where we started.
anywho,
All right. It's double D's now. Okay.
Exactly. No, we go back to triples. It always stays triple.
so guys, okay, he's acknowledging Roman Reigns as the one and only the one and only Master Chief. Okay, there you go.
That's what
So,
worlds collide.
Exactly.
yes,
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So we're gonna start with you. I want you to explain what this film, why it's so high on your list of, if you were to say, like, go give this to anybody in our group chat right here or anywhere on the YouTubes, why does this film resonate with you at number 3?
Good question. Try to answer it to the best of my ability.
Of
I just
course.
want to let everybody know that my memory is not the best. So if I missed something that needs more explanation or something of that nature, please forgive me. But The Descent, I think you can't go wrong with having maybe 6 or 7 beautiful women with foreign accents. That's a start. I think that this movie encompasses a lot in sharing a bond between friends that can break down in the long term. Um, but the melodrama that's there is very subliminal. It more or less happens towards the end and the beginning, and just the progression of the movie itself, from a friendship based, where the girls go down spelunking. There was an accident. One of the characters, Sarah, lost her husband and her daughter in an automobile accident. And a year later, she meets up with Juno and Beth and a couple other girls to try to, like, become friends again, reignite the spark of friendship. And they decide to go spelunking in supposedly a cave. Uh, but Juno decides to take it a step further, go spelunking in an undiscovered cave, which leads to its own uh, dangerous aspects of it. And in retrospect, I look back at this movie and say that the camera positioning, the lighting is very claustrophobic. It is very minimal. The scare effects, uh, it starts like a slow burn. You don't really know if you didn't look at the trailers back then, just to find out what the whole movie about, descent and the creatures, the predators that come like maybe an hour in. It's just devastating what they do to this crew of survivors who actually encounter their own dangers and accidents and injuries prior to them engaging with the underground dwellers. But it also has melodrama in the sense that there's cheating, betrayal between two friends, but that wasn't the main focus. It was like mini subplot, but it was a thing that I really liked about this movie is the darkness of it and how the characters themselves put a realistic approach into what would happen if they were in this cave, lost basically.
I'm gonna give you 100%. I'm gonna hit Dave with this one because I know I love Dave. Dave has kind of coined that on this channel. Practical effects. This movie does that in spades. This wouldn't have made my top 10, and I'm gonna be very blunt. I think it's a good film. I don't think it was and this is, again, I'm not gonna shoot you down. I think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film, but I can agree the atmosphere is very set well for it being in a condensed area that many people do suffer from claustrophobia, darkness, if you have fear of the dark. That this movie plays up on that practical fear. I do like I do agree with you that that kind of interplay of the relationships is kind of underscored by the threat of those, I forgot what they called them. They were like underground, like,
Predators.
Yeah, like I almost want to say like the hills have eyes. Like you don't know if they were like tribes, like a cannibal tribe that lives underground, or are they some sort of evolutionary monster or demons? There's a lot of disillusion to them, but at the same time, the effects when the makeup and you see them, like their teeth, their fangs, their eyes are all blacked out. They're hairless, and it plays up on like I think the sound is
Yes,
something that
it was
I
more. Yeah,
can't.
it was more based on sound. You don't really see the creatures full fledged until maybe an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
That
and
was exciting to me.
I
Did
liked
you,
the fact of the water dropping. Like that was one thing when I rewatched, because I know Dave hadn't seen this film in a long time, and
especially
I
if you have
hadn't seen it.
surround sound.
Yeah.
If you have surround sound, you could really enjoy.
Yeah, you hear that like the water dropping. Like if you're in a cave, if you guys have ever gone like on any dark ride in like Disney or any theme park, and you hear like that drop, that's like the water dropping into like a pool of water. It gets like that, and then there's this like dead silence, and it plays up on that fear. I think I think like I said, I like there's aspects that I do know. I think they made like a sequel or something like that. I never watched any of the other ones, but I
Which is
respect
also good. Which I would also recommend.
really okay.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, hey, I respect his opinion. I really am impressed with the way you broke it down, because there were things that I didn't even think about that you mentioned it, that I'm like, man, the practical effects were freaking awesome. They did a really good job on that sort of stuff. So yeah,
Now,
100%.
Claustrophobia as well. There's a scene where Sarah is crawling through the cave and like it narrows down where she feels that she can't
Any
move.
grabber, oh yeah.
Yeah, she can't move anymore.
now, I want to add a little something to this. When a director can tell a story without having to need special effects, without having to need big expensive sets, if you can use a practical setting, it is dark. One, you're saving a lot of your budget right there, which is kind of smart. Two, when you can use natural fears and things that maybe your average person would not even think about, and immerse them immerse a story into that. I mean, this is kind of like old school storytelling right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about like some of the best horror movies ever. Some of the most scariest movies you might have watched growing up as a kid scared the crap out of you, but now you laugh at it. So I definitely think that this is definitely, I mean, this is definitely a thumbs up. Is it the greatest story ever? That's up to each person to determine when they watch it. But to take that concept, I think that's definitely a big plus right there.
Yeah,
To take the concept to execute it, like Dre said, I'm a big proponent of practical effects. CGI is good and all in certain settings, but sometimes people get a little bit too reliant on CGI.
Think of the birds,
Yeah.
think of Psycho, think of like the classic Hitchcock stuff. Those all played on tropes that we look at now, and they're like, yeah, they could throw a bunch of crows flying, like CGI crows. But when you saw the birds, and I actually got to see them redo, like when it was like an anniversary show in the theaters in black and white, and you see classic Psycho, it's atmosphere, it's the music, it's the playing up exactly on that concept of fear, that real human psychosis of like, oh shit, what is in that corner?
From the cawing to the flapping of the wings, you could hear it's visceral.
Oh yeah.
Even think of the original Halloween. It was mostly a guy in a mechanic coveralls with a bleached out Shatner mask and just that creepy John Carpenter music. I mean, yeah, sure, there was blood and there was, people being chased around, but the guy was walking at a slow pace and he still caught up with you. There was still that the music and everything. It was they really didn't have the special effects in that movie, but it was just very simple elements that could scare the crap out of you. And how many sequels of that did they have? I mean, come on.
Well, and we're going back to that now. It's
Yeah.
something that I've been seeing a lot of the. If you guys are on the interwebs like we are, because we're when you're YouTubers, we do that sort of thing. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to watch like analog horror, like that's very much exactly what we're talking about with The Descent. Like you imagine being lost in a place with no windows, no doors, or random doors, and you keep going down hallways, and then people are chasing you, and you hear these like laughing, but you can't find out where it is. Those are legitimate fears that people have. And it plays up on this mindset like, am I losing my mind? Am I really here? Is it a dream? Is it not? And I think that that's really cool. So I love the description, hands down. So Dave, I got to ask you, because I know you and I had mentioned, Rob Zombie. And
Yes.
I mean, you've already gotten the chat to love your choice. So
I mean,
hit it out the park.
House of a Thousand Corpses. I mean, this kind of like people are like, wait a minute, Rob's the guy from White Zombie, Rob, the rocker. He made a movie, and
The guy who made Edge's theme song.
yeah, basically. But this hits me on a couple levels because me and my brothers would recite Captain Spaulding. The jokes and the comments from him. He was, a Sid Hogue. I mean, there were amazing character actors. People that we saw in this movie were people you would never imagine in a horror movie. But this movie just like, it's so twisted. It's beyond twisted. I mean, it's like if you took your twisted dreams and just cranked it up to 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. This thing just, I mean, this is something I will still sit and watch. I mean, just the vibes. I mean, this wasn't meant to be a modern looking movie. He went with the old, like the 60s, 70s aesthetic to it. This is just, it's hard for me to even describe because this just, it hits today.
It does. It's going to stay hitting. It's never going to stop hitting. I think you can't.
The characters, I mean, and yes, he did, The Devil's Rejects, and I just Rob Zombie was on a roll with these movies. I mean, but House of a Thousand Corpses just it kills. I mean, it slaps. I mean, this is just.
Yeah, David almost made my top 3.
See, I mean, to me, it hits me because it was different. It was different than most of the stuff we were seeing. It was
for that time, definitely, yeah.
I mean, it was kind of, it basically was indie. It was kind of indie, but we had some really good. What's his name? Rainn Wilson is in this one, I believe, and he's known as Dwight from The Office, the U.S. version of the show The Office. I mean, this is a guy known for comedy, and here we are. We're seeing him before he did The Office and before he did a whole like Saturday Night Live, some other stuff, and he's in this serious film, this horror movie, and it's just like it kind of blows your mind. Wait a minute, Dwight was in this friggin' film. I mean, it just like to me. Captain Spaulding and me and Dre, we have a friend whose YouTube name and
shout out to you, Ruben. Shout out to you, Ruben.
Captain Spaulding. that is his screen name. Sid Hogue was just great. I mean, he appeared in a bunch of Tarantino films. Speaking of Dre's pick, obviously, he wasn't in that one, but he's been in a bunch of those films. But just like this was just like. There were parts of this movie that were hilarious. They weren't maybe necessarily meant to be hilarious, but they were hilariously delivered. And some of the stuff is just, it blows your mind. It's so twisted. It's that delicious kind of twisted. Like you want, like someone like me who loves horror movies, after watching this, you're like, what? You're like, this is just like it's twisted, it's dark, but it's like, man, for me, I wanted more of this. I wanted to see, I'm like, oh, Zombie can direct, man.
Right, that was his inaugural.
Yeah,
to be in.
Yeah, his his feature film directorial debut, because he directed,
He did all his music
he
videos.
cut
He
his
did all
chops on
that.
a few music videos and
Oh,
some
of
other
course,
stuff.
yeah, right.
But like he killed it. It's sad that we really haven't seen him deliver anything like this in the past, what, 8 years,
He
maybe 8 or
did.
10 years.
He did. A few years ago, he did that film that his wife, the last film that his wife did, where it was like, I think it was 23 was the name of the film. Where it
31.
was, or 31, yes, thank you,
31.
31.
Okay.
And that film, I enjoyed that film, and that was very much a step away from this. It was still in that realm of what like the Devil's Rejects and the House with 1,000 Corpses kind of idea, but like
2016, yeah.
but it's still not. It wasn't the level that I expected.
Yeah.
But
That movie is more like a video game boss fight after boss fight after boss.
I mean,
honestly, it felt like
there's some
Battle
pretty good,
Royale.
there's some
from
good
Japan.
people in this. I just googled it: Malcolm McDowell, Meg Foster.
Oh no, they had they had names.
E.G. Daily.
Dude, they had names in it. It's just
E.G. Daily, the voice of Tommy Pickles, Rugrats, and she was a little pop artist back then, back in the '80s too. So they had some pretty big names in this. Damn, yeah. Daniel Roebuck, yep, there you go.
Yeah. So I want to address a couple of things in the chat before we move on to my pick. Jaws, 110%. Why I was terrified of Jaws is exactly that. Like one of Spielberg's, like ideas was to and I know Lucas and them, they wanted you to see the shark in the water, but you never saw it. Like all you saw was the one. You see the fin once, and then it was the music. Like, for anybody that's a fan of wrestling, Gunther, our boy, Walter was Walter. Now Gunther, the current world heavyweight champion, his music is the orchestral mix of the Jaws theme, and it is something that always makes my hair stand up. Like not when his music plays, but when I hear the classic Jaws theme. Like I remember when I was a kid, we went to Universal Studios in Orlando, and it was like you're on the thing, and it's like the music hit, and I'll never forget. Like I was sitting on the edge of the where you could see, and I was like, nope. And I slid my happy little ass right to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I'm gonna sit right here hugging you."
Dre, did it make your hair stand up and run away?
Oh, it did, bro. It did. Look, see, it's gone. That shit said "pa fuera," and went. Exactly.
I got a comment on Beast here. I can't fight you on that statement. I really can't, because Zombies' take on Halloween, on the first one, giving us a little bit of more background on Michael Myers as a child.
Well, and again, we've always said it falls into that realm.
That study of horror. I mean,
born or is it made?
Yeah. So, I mean, it gave us more than just a glimpse of, a little kid in a clown costume stabbed his babysitter. It was more than just that. It gave us more substance. It gave us a little bit more scope into him. So, yeah, I can't fight you on that. I got to agree with you 100%. And I know it's a hot take for some, but there's no hot takes in the dimension here. So
my pick, obviously for me, I'm a diehard Tarantino fan. Absolutely love Quentin Tarantino's works. This movie was, for me, iconic because a lot of people think, Salma Hayek was in this film and we saw her. No. If y'all really know, Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi, which was Desperado, the sequel film to El Mariachi, that was her first role in Hollywood outside of telenovelas that she did in Mexico and Latin America.
Yeah, she was established when she popped in this one.
Yes, when she did this film, which Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, Clooney, Tarantino, Shaft, I'm not even Cheech Marin. I mean, folks, I can go down the list. Luis Garcia. I mean, we had Savini.
I was about to say, you better name my boy.
Hold your horses there, buddy. My pick. I like my pick. And the reason why I like my pick is there's lines from this movie that you cannot. If you're married, folks, and I'm going to sound really bad, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, but my wife's asleep, so it's all good. When he sits there and she's like, I'm not going to drain all your blood. I'm going to leave a little bit. And I'm going to make you my dog. I'm going to call you Spot. And then she goes, welcome to hell. And Clooney pulls that gun out with the utmost quickness. He goes, nah, thanks. I've already been married. Bah! And I bust. I was like 14, 15 years old when this movie came out. I did not get that humor till now I've been married and have some years been married. And it's like, oh shit, that is hilarious. Tarantino as his brother being the kind of demented psycho where there was layers.
He was awesome.
The layers in this film that I wish they developed more, but I understand Tarantino's mindset. Like Tarantino likes to give you a lot of things to focus on, but then there's the overarching issue. Like you have to survive the night. You're on the lam, you survive the night, great. But then you go and see there's like the movie wasn't as scary to me because it had elements of comedy. Cheech Marin, I mean, if you love Cheech and Chong, I mean, I actually, and Beast knows this because he and I were talking about this last night on PlayStation. I went through the whole, we recited it word for word when he's like, look what we got here at the Titty Twister. We got this kind and this kind and this kind. We got yellow, we got brown, we got dirty, we got stinky, we got juicy. And I don't need to say the rest of it, folks. But for you, if you have not seen, that is hilarious. Harvey Keitel, and then I want to go back and kind of come off the comedy aspect for it, but to study on the characters.
Yeah.
The actual characters, like Harvey Keitel's character, being the man that's lost his faith, his daughter kind of not figuring things out, Clooney coming out of prison and trying to re-find himself. You know, it's so many layers upon layers upon layers. The vampires felt like almost an afterthought. Like they were the problem, but they weren't really the problem, if you think about it. It was more of the human element, like we have to survive the night against these guys.
I mean,
but how do you really deal with the fact that if his brother didn't get bit, his brother's a psycho killer? You know, like a serial problem for ladies and a serial problem for not wanting to, do what he did. And it's, then you have, Sex Machine, who I love. I mean, again, the layers in this film were great. And it's not listen, folks, I'm not expecting an Academy Award out of him, even though you got Tarantino, who's multi-time Academy Award. You got Clooney, brother, where art thou? I mean, there's lots to this. And I think this film has to be rated as one, and it is one of those films I feel like you have to watch before you die because it's that good. Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, the vampires are kind of secondary. This could have been set in just a regular biker bar with, like a few random guys just fighting gangs, humans. And you could still had the same kind of elements, the same kind of deliveries and everything. But yeah, they had a whole series of these movies. Plus, there was a recent TV series series that was on Netflix. And personally, Dre, you might hate me for this. I love the fucking hell out of that. I enjoyed the hell out of it. We had Wilmer Valderrama.
I know.
Him and I'm blanking on the actor who played his brother, who was in the I think the first or the second G.I. Joe movie that they did. I'm blanking on his name right now.
I know what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I love the twists and turns, and I think that's where like you're seeing like Tarantino. There was so much more that they could have done, and I think they the TV
like you said, did expound on it. It did do that.
Tarantino was great in this. And I kind of wish Tarantino did more acting than what he actually has done. He's done usually smaller parts in movies.
True.
I think this is probably one of his larger roles I think he's played.
If you look at the films on the 8 films that he's done, because we all know that Tarantino's only doing 10. He's done 8.
Yeah.
And as one of the films, this is probably one of the more, like Dave said, probably prolific roles he had, because he wasn't in Inglourious Bastards. He wasn't in. He wasn't. He was in Reservoir Dogs. If you guys have seen that, he was
He had
in
that
Pulp
small
Fiction.
part in Pulp Fiction.
He had a small part in Pulp
with
Fiction.
Harvey, because I'm sure that's how the relationship was built, and they brought him into this movie.
Exactly. So there are, for you guys that are fans of the directors, do take a stab and look at it. It's not like M. Night Shyamalan. It's not like Stephen King. And King, who's very well known for being in his films and having prolific roles, same with Shyamalan. Just give the TV show, outside of it being campy and kind of funny at times, Dave is right. It does expound on the lore of the vampire world.
Yeah.
And on the characters themselves. So it is something for you to take a look at. Overrated. Oh, I swear, Archer, I love you, but it makes me want to just go punch you square in the... It's not overrated. Robert Rodriguez is great, and he's more El Mariachi than I think than From Dusk Till Dawn. But let's go to page 2. Dave.
Okay. Kids, are you ready?
Bring it on.
Bring it on. So, Danny Danger, I'm going to tell you this. Dave and I don't disagree with this pick. We can't even speak more about this pick, about how amazing it is. So, please, sir, why is this yours?
Oh man, this movie was one of the first times that I believe is actually when I first saw it, and going back in a little research, was one of the first times that the zombies were fast and running after you, not slow paced, not methodical, but actually in a rage, and attack you. And the whole point of this movie is London basically has been quarantined, and nobody knows about it until there's a little bit later on that they fill you in. It's like almost like a social experiment if you think about it. What happens in the beginning of the movie, I thought was one of those things. Listen, when someone says something, you listen before you act, because what happens is that these activists are trying to get animal activists are trying to get these chimps or chimpanzees out of these cages, but they've been tested on, and they've been tested on with a virus, and the virus is a rage virus, and they don't listen. They actually come across one of the doctors and says, "Hey, don't open those cages, because if you do, you're going to release the chimp, and it has this virus. It's a killer virus." And they don't listen. And what happens? They get attacked, they get infected, and it leads to a post-apocalyptic destruction of surrounding London and the island of the United Kingdom. We have the characters Bill, who was a courier, and he fell into a coma. He had a motorcycle accident. He fell in a coma, and he wakes up 28 days later. And 28 days later, he realizes that no one's around. He just walks the city, and he can't find anybody. He actually winds up in an area, comes across a priest, and the priest is actually infected and attacks him. And there he realizes that that's what this is about, that this is dangerous, this survival of the fittest, survival of who can join up with other people and have the best interest, their safety and the best interest. And he actually comes across two people, Celine and Mark. Celine later becomes the love interest. Mark unfortunately dies. He gets infected. Then, lo and behold, Celine and Jim have a conversation. Conversation is, hey, if you get infected in a heartbeat, I'm going to take you out just like I did Mark. That's what Celine tells him. It's for my life to live and survive. If it's better for us to stick together and try to avoid any casualties or any infections, because hey, if you don't do it and survive and protect yourself, I'm not going to protect you. They come across this high rise, and they see these lights, and there's other people there. They come across, once again, lights to the building actually attracted these zombie-like creatures, and they get attacked. They get saved by a gentleman. I think his name is Frank, and his daughter Hannah. and then they get together. I think this movie encompasses a lot especially toward the end, where sometimes your enemy is not what's outside; it actually is the people around you, and it's a social commentary as well, because there's a point where Frank, who's a taxi cab driver, he has this crank handheld radio, or yeah, let's just use that, and that comes across from the military, supposed military, a call for helping, and they have a cure for the virus. So supplies are low in the high rise, and they got to they want to find something better. He doesn't want to leave his daughter, because he knows that there's a possibility that she's young and he's older, that she might not survive, and he wants her to survive and get with a group of people. So they trudge across London, some hijinks, some actually fun parts where they go to have some fun at a grocery store buying, and not buying actually, which is cute. Yeah, they just pick up a bunch of food, non-perishables, and the little kicker at the end when they leave the grocery store is that Frank leaves his credit card because money doesn't mean anything anymore. There's no one around. So so what happens is they arrive to the location. It looks vacant. There's no one around, and Frank kind of gets disappointed. Like, we came all this way, and you know, there's no one here. There's no salvation. Um, and oddly enough, he sees this victim being eaten by the crows. A crow. Remember the birds talk? And he gets upset, and he actually makes the most foolish mistake is to actually try to shoo away this crow from under, like above him on like a elevated platform, the victim, and a drop falls into his eye, and
Oh God, that
automatically,
was so powerful.
yeah, that was definitely sad, very sad, because if he would just avoided that situation, he may have encountered something different. But the plot changes a little bit later on, and his daughter comes and says, "What's wrong, Dad? What's wrong?" He says, "Get away, get away!" And he's like, almost within a few seconds, he starts to get infected and change. And Jim, they like, "Jim, you got to take this guy out." Jim is hesitant, and they actually are saved by this military group, and they shoot Frank dead, and then bring them to the compound. The compound is like a military compound with a couple of um, young cadets or guys in camouflage gear. You can't really tell initially. You think like it's led by this gentleman, Mr. West, Commander West, and something seems fishy when you're watching it. It's like you think like this doesn't seem too legit. They're a little brazen, a little too gun ho. They're not. Uh, all there themselves. They've been sequestered by themselves, like I think 7 men altogether, nothing else to do except fight off zombies. Uh, and what we see here is that Frank is no longer in the picture. Is Jim and these two young ladies, Celine and Hannah. And what we find out is that they are willing to bring in Jim and Celine and Hannah, not for the purposes of rescuing them, not because they have a cure, but because they want women to satisfy their own sexual desires. And that's where I come back to the point where this is a social commentary, in that there's always going to be, and this is the truth from where man came to man will end, there's always going to be a set group of people that will try to take advantage for their own personal gain without any care for whatever else comes across to anyone else. And these women would be actually sex slaves. Um, the movie ends with the whole military group being wiped out by Jim releasing one of the captive infectees, which was another initial military, which Officer West was studying to see that how long it would take for them to die of starvation, the infected. And I think this movie holds up till today. I really enjoyed it. I liked the aspect of the the way they were able to close off sections, whole sections, like far views of London with no one around, to be able to do that early morning, or through permits, just to get that
Mhm.
scenic landscape of isolation and destitute. I think that was a great aspect of the movie as well. I think the characters, the story was there, story building was there, and once again, just having zombies who run after you and just maul you to death within seconds is really cool as well.
I do agree
Yeah.
with you. The world building in this film is very 100% on point. I think that I do want to comment because I think it is again you hit me 2 for 2 with these great observations, and I didn't even think about it like that till you brought it up. It's a social commentary. You know, when you think about it, and you've really hit that nail on the head. We've seen the vampire movies. We've seen the end of the world movies, the Last of Us TV series. We played the video games. We've seen the Dawn of the Dead, the Land of the Dead, the Army of the Dead. We've seen a lot of these films. And a lot of what you see is that kind of, like you said, the dichotomy of the human condition. You see the survivalists that are like, let's band together so we can protect each other. Then there's the people that are like, hey, I can profit on this. And then there's the people that are like, what can I do to get something from you to help me in this horrible mess? But I'm still taking advantage of you. I don't lose, I win. And that greed and the human mindset, I think that's something that is very kind of strewn about each of these films that we have in the number 2 slot for each of us. But it's very prevalent in yours film and in Dave's film more. I think that's a layer for character development. I love that it does, like, I think a lot of the homages we saw in like Walking Dead, like where you have Atlanta, Georgia just shut down, and then you have that whole street full of zombies with a tank. You know, Rick waking up and seeing "Do not enter, all dead beyond here." You know what I mean? That's like Nicotero was fantastic for being able to give us that visual of the arms trying to get through the door and being asleep for this undetermined amount of time. We know in this film it's obviously days. It's been a month. But with Rick in The Walking Dead, we only presume that it was a while, and we never know that time. We never hear that time frame. So I think that when you hit the nail on the head with that. I love it. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I just remembered this when you were talking as well, that the human condition. When Jim wakes up from the coma and meets up with these guys, he has a good rapport with them. And he said, "I need to find my parents," and he's saying that they're dead. He says, "I just need to know for sure." And they actually accompany him to his parents' house, and he realized they committed suicide to be a part of this infectee. And there was a note that's left, and I actually took a picture of it. And it said, this is from his parents that he saw behind a photograph of him in his younger years. It says, "Jim, with endless love, we left you sleeping. Now we're sleeping with you. Don't wake up."
That's powerful, man.
Yeah, it was very powerful. I was like, oh my God. His
Like,
parents just wanted him just to be in a coma for the rest of his life or die off instead of encountering what they saw with the infection, because they actually lived through the infection until they could say, we can't deal with this no more.
it's a scary idea, and I like, there are a lot of aspects in the film that I do think you definitely hit the nail on the head on, which is, you know, you look at the levels, you look at the areas of how, like, this kind of process of like, I'm waking up, oh shit, the world. Imagine waking up in New York City, right in Times Square, and there's nothing. I Am Legend does that very well. Will Smith with the German Shepherd in the middle of Times Square, and it is just overrun. Cars, animals, but it's silent. In the city that never sleeps, it is silent. And those in London, for London being a large
that kind of
city,
happened in 2020 if we think about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
some videos
the world shuts down in 2019, March 2019. The world shut down, and you look at how powerful a movie that was done in 2002. 2002. That is 23 years ago. This film came out. And now we're getting...
If you math, yes.
I math a little bit. I sometimes I math a little bit. But we are getting another... And we're getting the updated version of this.
Well, it's the third one, but yeah.
It's the third one, but and now, folks, don't hate on us. We all know that he's not making it. They already stated Cillian Murphy is not tied to the film. He's not in any. He has no role in the film. He is working on like 3 other projects, so he do not think that he's involved in this. I want to set that premise now.
That we know of.
No, he already said it. He's come out and said it in several articles. I'm not involved.
Can I add a few thoughts to this?
Go, please. I want to hear your thoughts.
Because I'm waiting for you to finish, sir. So, Dre already touched on everything that I was also thinking of. The visuals. Now, here's a little bit of tidbit. The Walking Dead comics debuted in 2003, a year after this movie was released in theaters. So, we can hypothesize that the visuals of Rick waking, because not just in the TV show, but in the comics, there's the image of Rick coming across the door, dead inside, don't open. That, that whole concept, it's even far-fetched to say that, hey, maybe they took, like, let's be honest, like a lot of Americans do. We took an idea we saw over in the UK and we adapted it for our own purposes. Law and Order.
Oh God.
Being Human, and the list goes on and on. The Office. There's so many things. Ghost is another good one. My wife loves that show, but that's the thing. A law, instead of just a regular guy, we get a deputy who is shot and he's left in a coma. I mean, it's very close, but let's be honest. One, the running zombies, the red-eyed zombies, which I don't think we really saw before that. Usually they have kind of a glossed or some kind of like a white pigmentation. Yeah. We usually see something along those lines. But these zombies it was almost like, think of the hate plague from Transformers, the cartoon. It's like if you took something like that, this wasn't just like, oh, the dead are rising. No. As soon as you're bit, that virus changes your body chemistry, changes everything. You're no longer a humanoid anymore. You're just a rage-filled monster that will feed on sound. You hear something, you it's like a bat on sonar. You're going to connect onto it and chase after it. These were zombies who ran. They climbed when they're going after Cillian Murphy. And yeah, this is a very early film for Cillian Murphy. I mean, it still warps my mind that the head military guy, the general, the captain, the major, whoever he was, Christopher Eccleston, who we saw play bad guys in other films such as Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, but we also, those who are big-time nerds, know him as the Ninth Doctor from Doctor Who.
Also the Dark Elf from...
Dark Elf from Thor, but that wasn't really the greatest.
I know,
Thor
we
movie.
all know him from Doctor Who.
But, I mean, that's the thing. 28 Days was a film unlike anything we had before.
Hey, Allison.
These are Return of the Living Dead zombies? Arguments can be made, definitely.
I love that, dude.
And honestly, I'm a fan of the Return of the Walking Dead movies, and I'm looking, or the Living Dead. I've seen all 5 of them. There was even one called Rave to the Grave. Trust me, it wasn't.
How do you find these? I feel like you look for the bullshit. Like
no. When I had Sci-Fi Channel, they would have these on Saturday nights. Okay, calm down.
Okay.
But they're actually making a new one. A new one's supposed to be coming out, I think, sometime in the next year. Return of the Living Dead. So, I love a zombie movie. So, but this was like, yes, it deals with the trope of, you have the monsters, but then the humans are worse than the monsters. And that's something they also tried to convey in The Walking Dead, although I don't think they lost their way a lot of the times. But 28 Days Later, if you're someone who likes zombie movies and you want something that just flips the script, this is that movie.
And
28 Weeks Later, not so much. It's an okay. It's an okay installment. I'm looking forward to the next one because I really want to see where they go with this, and I got a really great vibe about it. So, but yeah, this is definitely, it's one of those. It's, again, like, for me, I can watch this over and over again.
I
I mean, the actors are very likable. I mean, I actually pulled this information up for us. I mean, Brendan Gleeson, who plays Frank, he has played he's played a real asshole in other films and shows, but he plays a very endearing and caring father. And realizing that he's been infected, he knows what he has to do. There's no choice. That's what a father would do. As soon as they realize, okay, I'm a danger to my daughter and to these other people who are going to be the only people who can take care of my daughter, I need to remove myself. There's no question about that. That's what a father would do. You know, Naomi Harris is Selena. I'll play the fifth. Beautiful, strong, and just amazing. Cillian Murphy. I mean, again, this, like, if you watch this, you would think, like, okay, young guy, okay. Nobody could foresee that this guy would go on to, you're watching a zombie movie. You don't expect the people who are in this movie to be amazing actors, but they are. And Cillian Murphy has proved it. I mean, I still think one of the greatest travesties of the Dark Knight movie series is that the Scarecrow never got his, the storyline he deserved. And people didn't know, some people don't know this. He actually tried out for Batman.
Yep.
They called him back several times, but they ultimately went with Christian Bale, so he could have been a Batman. But this movie hits on so much. And I think it's an eye-opener for some people. And I love the fact that they go with the reality of, well, without food supply, these zombies will eventually die. Because they need, just like with any organism, you need sustenance. You need, whether it's brains, whether it's vampires with blood, eventually they're going to become weak and weaker and weaker and weaker and finally die out. The same with his family. That's just finding his parents gone. I mean, this is something that if this plague actually happened in reality, this is something that people would face. People would definitely be facing this, and it would cause all kinds of controversies. But I mean, that's why I love a zombie movie that flips the damn script. Any kind of a monster movie that does a different take on its genre, whether it's vampires or werewolves or anything. Whenever they take a chance and they go with a completely different, okay, we're throwing the cannon out the damn window and we're writing our own. That's going to hook me in, and I kind of have to watch it,
So I want to acknowledge a couple of things from the chat. So I agree with you, Beast, that the Crazies it's very similar to the Crazies in that regard, which the Crazies was a remake from 1978,
which we covered,
which we did cover, and it was a great film because I love Timothy Olyphant, love him, and I do agree that a lot of people construe what we see in 28 Days Later as zombies, but that's kind of how it was sold and touted, and a lot of people do debate it to this day. 20 plus years later, people are still arguing about, are they zombies, are they not zombies, are they rage monsters, but they're people, and what I like to think of them as that subgenre of zombie, because a lot of the Italian, like, kind of goofy horror films, or like really C+ horror films that a lot that Italy puts out and that like India's been putting out, they're kind of like similar, ragey, like still having some semblance of control, but it's not till you look at, and this is where I'm biased and kind of leads into my movie, where I think Asia really plays up on the trope of the zombie best. I think that when you look at Train to Busan, when you look at the Netflix series that is The Kingdom, where it, I mean, two fantastic pieces. Train to Busan, probably one of my absolute favorite zombie films of all time. We've never really gotten into it briefly
Drake
on this
got me on
channel.
that one. Drake got me.
Yeah, because
that was probably one of the best zombie movies I had seen.
I will
And
never
I
forget.
have another recommendation. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the whole franchise of the Rec series.
Oh yeah, I've watched the Rec. I love the Rec series. So like I've seen all four. Love them. When I got exposed to Train to Busan, that's years later. I've always been a fan of the Asian horror scene, from The Eye to Pulse to several really obscure, very obscure like films that come out of Asia. There's a lot of bad ones, but the one that really resonated with me, and to this day, I can't walk past a TV at night by like in a if the TV's on in a dark room, I think Sayaka is going to come out of the TV, and I get that fear. And I think The Ring is exactly that true level of fear. Why do I say that? This film, to a lot of American audiences, people consider this film found footage. It's not. It's not a found footage film. Found footage is documentary style, where we have dialogue. This was an actual film.
Bitch. What?
Yeah, exactly. Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity. Those are found footage. This film is actually got actors that are taking on roles, and there is a subtext of story behind it. Obviously there was a curse. I'm not going to go into the story because everybody knows The Ring extremely well. It's very popular. It was translated. It didn't do as well as the translated version, but when you have the subtitled version of the film, it stood, and it slapped. I think it was amazing. And why do I think that? Hiroyuki Sanada. We all know Hiroyuki Sanada from several things he's done. We've seen him in Godzilla, in Kong. We've seen him in the Shogun television series. He was in this series as a detective that's kind of investigating why these people are dying from seeing this videotape. And then you start getting into the whole curse of Sayaka. If I'm missing her name, it's because I'm loosely remembering her name, because it's been a long time since I've seen this film. But when you watch it and you actually get to the last scene of this film, that is where the bone chilling, my hairs literally are standing up on me right now. I feel like doing The Rock. Like, look, folks, you can see. Like
I was going to ask what hairs, but
the goosebumps are like, because that's when you see her break out of the TV, like breaks that dimensional barrier, crawls on the floor, and then you see the hair part just enough over the one eye. And then, it's exactly, I would have done the same thing.
I love that, Allison. I really love that.
She's 100% right. But The Ring is that movie. It hits on levels. The acting is solid. You care about the characters. Now, did I love the fact that the American movie did pay it a direct homage? It had to. Sort of how we've covered in the Sentai series with like Gridman and Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad actually crossing over. This is something that needed to. Like, did I need Sarah Michelle Gellar to do it? No. I needed
Buffy.
Yeah, I needed people to like have a link to understanding that this film was inspired by what that movie did. And there have been several great films, and there have been several bad films afterwards that have come out of this. But I think The Ring does it well, and that's why it's my number 2.
Okay. Now,
I'll make a quick comment on The Ring.
Go ahead.
This was the first movie as an young adult, that I tried to watch by myself, but I had to shut it off and actually have a companion watch it with me.
I had a girlfriend do the same thing. We were in the house and we were watching the movie, and then I was like, yo, babe, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I hit every light when I ran to the bathroom. I'm like 20 years old, and I'm like, bing, 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 bing. I'm turning all the lights on in the house. I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah, it hits very visceral.
I'm sorry for me. I'm that person. I'm the first person that goes into a haunted house.
All right.
Notice,
my friends are like, okay, do you mind going first? I'm like, yeah, I'll go into the haunted house. Like, I'm not talking like a haunted house. I'm talking like a Halloween time. Yeah. You go for the scares. I'm the first person to go up.
So Dave, can I hit you with something right now? It's going to be really funny. So remember how we talked about the minority moments?
Yes.
Why do you think both minorities were like, we were scared shitless and we would not leave? And we made sure there was somebody else with us because guess what? Richard Pryor said it best. I don't got to run faster than the monster. I got to run faster than you. And motherfucker, I will trip your ass up to live if I got to go. So see ya.
But see that's me. I grew up like watching all the horror movies. Like my sister, who's 4 years older than me, we would watch like Halloween, and she would ask to put the lights on. Me, I'm like, I'm on the rug, I'm on the carpet, I'm like right in front of the TV watching it. I'm like, I fed off of horror movies full, so like for me, it really takes a lot to freak me the hell out.
His feet, like, oh look at the gore! Woohoo! I can totally see him. Like everybody's like,
if he would catch a package, yay!
Exactly. Like you can just see him squeezing it on his head. I can totally see Dave loving that.
I used to do the little fake jewelry boxing with the cotton. You cut a hole, you put your finger in it, a little bit of ketchup, a little bit of like a little rubbing alcohol, make it wiggle a little bit, freak people the hell out. Yeah.
And our wives love us, folks. This is why our wives love us.
Well, see, that's the thing. My wife will not watch a horror movie. She does not like scary stuff. She doesn't like gory stuff. So I'm watching it on my monitors, and I will enjoy the hell out of it. Speaking of enjoying movies, come on, Dawn of the Dead. Yes, it is a remake. The original is a classic, but this was brought to us by two masters, James Gunn and Zack Snyder. They came together to make this film. To me, I mean, yeah, we got Sarah Polley, we got Ving Rhames. I mean, we got Mekhi Phifer in here, and I mean, the first time we see a zombie baby in like a major horror film,
and it comes back, folks. That zombie baby made a comeback. If you saw Army of the Dead, this is full circle. How that universe, and it does. If you guys did not know, Army of the Dead is existing in a same universe
at the same time, parallel.
Exactly,
because it's got Ving Rhames in it playing his brother, who is at was a Fort Myer, I think it was. Yep. So yeah, and that's the thing. This movie is
talk that shit, Dave. Look at the beast is on your side.
See, I mean, this is because I mean, come on. After seeing the original when I was a kid, which was filmed in an abandoned, a dilapidated or unused shopping mall, same thing happened here. We did see running zombies, but 28 Days did it better, and they did it first. But we actually had stunt zombies, people who were actually, what's the right word I'm looking for, Dre? People who, there was one who, it was just his torso and his arms. What's the right word I'm looking for? I'm blanking on the right terminology to use. Paraplegic. So we actually saw people paraplegic, like running on their hands, chasing people in full zombie makeup. I mean, they did an amazing job with this. I mean, we saw, like in the beginning, Sarah Polley is like a nurse at a hospital. She gets home from her shift, talking to a little girl, the next door neighbor. Next morning, she, her and her husband are slowly waking up. They see the girl in the house. And obviously, the girl is missing some flesh because she's a zombie now, and she just it just feels like it's one continuous action sequence. It's just cut that way. This is just it. It's just, if you love zombie movies, this is a fun movie to watch, because what does James Gunn do the best? picking music. The music for the film is friggin' hilarious. It's friggin' insane. It fits so good. We get a lot of good actors in here. And speaking again, and I think Dawn of the Dead. And let me just verify the. That year was 2004. Okay, so again, another movie we can trace inspiration from 28 Days Later, because we have the scene when Frank is infected and he knows that he has to remove himself. He has to be ended to protect his daughter. Matt Fuhrer, aka Max Headroom, the father, the kind of bully of a father from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and so many other films and movies. He's infected. He doesn't know that he's infected until he's told. Ving Rhames has got a shotgun. The father knows that he's got to die. I mean, there's so much inspiration from this adaptation from 28 Days Later. We can still see inspirations from 28 Days Later, but Dawn of the Dead even has some found footage in the end credits.
Oh God!
Remember? Because they had the video camera. The one guy, Steve, had like his little sex escapades, but then they're using it when they're approaching an island. And you get a little bit of found footage. So this film is kind of paying homage to a couple different things. You gotta love Mekhi Phifer. He's a great actor. A little bit underrated, if you ask me, because he's been in some pretty amazing stuff. But what always killed me was, come on, you're just gonna let him and his wife just stay secluded for so long without anybody checking on them when you have someone with medical training? That was just all kinds of sketchy. You should have knew what was coming. Ving Rhames was great in this film. I mean, I can't think of a movie where he sucked. I would be hard pressed to try and find a movie that he totally sucked in. I liked his, just everyone in this film, like even the people who, like the guy who plays Steve, who's on Modern Family, he's great at playing a jerk, and he was perfect in this.
He got his comeuppance too. Like,
yes,
so good when you see him later in the film, you're just like, got him.
I'm blanking on the actress who played the daughter, who was she became quite attached to dog Chips. Blanking on her name. She actually wound up doing a lot of different TV shows over the years, but also was in Kick-Ass 2 as Night Bitch.
That's right.
But this was a great film. I loved when they started to armor up the friggin' buses, the mall shuttles. That was cool. That was great. And I love how like the one guy was like he's trying to impress Sarah Pauli. He's like, hey, see, we get we can take the chainsaws and do this and shit. And it was a great film. It was a good, fun film. Everyone who was in it, they're good. They did great parts. Again, the prosthetics, the actual practical effects. We don't have really CGI in here.
There was the only bit of CGI
Not
that
much.
I remember.
Maybe some of the explosions, possibly.
The only bit of CGI that I remember, and for those of you that are wrestling fans, if you guys remember, Monday Night Raw was going on at this point on USA Network, and they had aired, I think, one Monday Night Raw. They actually aired some footage from the film. They said, we're going to show you the first like 8 minutes of the movie, and it was like post the Monday Night Raw. And I remember the only CGI I remember was the car going off the road. Like they showed the car, like it was like you had a scene of like the overhead shot of Paulie in the car and she's driving. Yeah. And then like suddenly it was like, and you see the car go off and skid off the road. Yeah. But that was the only CGI I remember. The rest of it was all practical effects.
But I mean, it's just a good, fun movie. And sadly, did we lose Dre? Must be peanut time. The only thing I will say was sad is the sequels that came after did not come close to this. And they are like your straight to video type of movies. We had Land of the Dead, which is actually kind of it's a guilty pleasure for me. John Leguizamo is in it. There's some really cool people in there. that Diary of the Dead. I think there was also Island of the Dead. It was supposed to be like a secluded island where they're trying not to kill the zombies. They're like corralling them. Like there was these two twin sisters. One was alive, one was dead. The dead one's riding a horse the entire time. There's this. It's just sad that we didn't get like you didn't have obviously Zack Snyder and James Gunn continuing down the line because I really would love to see more of that world explored. But I love this movie. We'll give Dre a minute or two. Right. I'm going to bring up Beast right here. And the best part of Dawn of the Dead is not even the movie. It's the special features, the new board cast, and Andy video diary. Yeah, there's some excerpts. If you have the DVD or Blu-ray, or if you have digital content, we always like to push physical media. But if you have the digital content, like through Vudu or something, they usually include the special effects. It's definitely worth a look. I mean, from some of the outtakes to just the process that they did for the prosthesis, for all the special effects. I mean, we got more of a really like the body's completely changed, like the big heavyset woman that they have to carry in from the truck. That's all big one massive prosthesis right there. With someone inside, yeah.
And just that you mentioned, that's such a thing of the past. Special features on Blu-rays and DVDs. Remember when we had the interactive menu screen as well and games?
Oh yeah.
Commentary.
We're the interactive. They had VHS board games. You put the tape in the VCR and you had to like play certain parts.
No, I remember that, but I felt like I was gonna be like, so Double
Survival of the Dead. Yes, that's the one.
So Double D, you're saying that you think DVD commentary is like? Do you think currently, like on physical media, which I still buy physical media? Are you saying that you think that the commentary aspect is gone from it? I love personally. I watch a lot of it.
We probably don't see it as much as we used to. I think that's what you're getting at.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. I was curious.
When the DVD used to come out, it had so many interactive features from, like I said, the title screen, the menu options, outtakes, bloopers, multiple commentaries sometimes, and even sometimes I had to flip this, which had one side.
Oh yeah, that was. So, folks, if you don't know what the
flip I have a few of those.
So, for anybody that had the Xbox 360. And you had the HD DVDs because those were HD. Those were pre-Blu-rays.
They lost
those were ones where you could actually flip the disc over, where it would be a DVD on one side, and then on the other side was the HD DVD. So you had the high definition,
or you had the widescreen and standard. Yeah. That was very popular too.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. So that's an interesting. Thank you for bringing that back because I totally.
I still have a collection of those HD DVDs.
I have two
right here, brother. But like you said, I get where Tony's coming from, because when we just relied on Blu-ray or DVDs, we popped it in. We had that menu pop up. We saw special features or like TV shows. Next episode, you had or you have Q&A on this. We don't see that anymore. We click on the image, and then we get the option to play. It plays. Now you have to go searching for special features. You're not aware of it unless you look for it now. If you do streaming, if you do like, I still do movies through Vudu. We try and do physical media, but then that can also take up space, and sometimes it's cheaper just to get the digital media. So those are arguments for another day and time. Like I said, when Dre stepped away, here at Outer Dimension, we do push physical media because you just never know with licenses what could happen. You might no longer have access.
You need to.
Hey, did you watch it?
No, we're watching it tomorrow.
You keep last week. You're like, oh, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it.
Again, people have been. We had a lot. We've had a lot. As a family, we've had a lot this week. So tomorrow, it's movie night.
Yeah. And one last throwback. I remember some DVDs that you can actually put in your computer and unlock additional content.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they used to. I used to love
little games on them too.
Yeah, stuff you could download. Yep. And all that. Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you want this
Oh, yeah.
wallpaper? You want this like special
Yes,
screensaver?
right.
Li-
Yeah.
You put that movie in there.
We
and you get
we had
the
that. They had that on some CDs that you would just buy,
Yeah,
not even DVDs.
The music did it too.
Yep.
I think that Dave brought up a good point. And folks, you know, we always love whenever something comes up. I think I want to address it now for those that are going to ever listen to this on the podcast or watch on a replay. If you guys really want to come on and do the debate with us, I mean, Dave and I are fervent supporters of physical media. I would love to have that debate on why physical is way better than just the digital medium. There are several. I agree on both sides of the thing, but I'm more pro on physical.
But we will not house that argument when it comes to audio media. only video media.
Yeah, we're gonna restrict it because that can go down a very ugly
We don't need
rabbit hole.
audio files telling us that vinyl sounds better than CD. I mean, it all depends on what your system is. Let's be honest.
Right.
Exactly.
So we're not going to get into that debate.
So it will be strictly just the physical.
Former DJ, I'm not getting into that debate with anybody.
It would be just movies. So we're going to talk about the silver screen. So I just
so
want to
let's go to the next one, guys.
All right. Now
I believe this will be honorable mentions.
Yes.
Or dishonorable mentions.
No, they're all honorable. They're all
Dre, I love you. You're my brother. I just want to say that before we go.
See, no, you fucking saying this for some reason. Why are you saying this? Like, why don't I want to see the next slide? God, for real, for real. Like, we talked about this. Like, we actually talked about this. Wow. Okay. We're gonna bypass Dave's for right now to go right to Tony's because I want to address Dave separately because that's some bullshit. That's what I'm gonna call bullshit some bullshit. So please, I mean, this is I think another one of those movies that would probably make the top 10 list of films you need to see in your lifetime.
Definitely.
So why do you think this is that film?
Oh man, where did I start? This is one of the first movies that I saw in my early childhood. I was staying over at my aunt and uncle's house, and they had a family gathering, and this was actually playing in the background. And I caught some of the scenes toward the end of the movie, and then it was bedtime. Needless to say, I didn't sleep that night.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have slept.
This actually took me off of horror films for quite a few years. I did watch TV, like Tales from the Crypt and Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, but actually watching an actual horror film was non-existent to me. I chose comedies, action movies over horror films until I got actually probably high school. And this is the quintessential film in regards the best film that involves an exorcism. I would say the number one movie.
Oh yeah.
There's been other movies that have been good exorcist movies, religious movies and stuff like that. I think this
True Believers.
Right. For it being one of the first that I've ever seen, I think it's definitely one of the best. Like you said, it's a bucket list movie. Once again, it's the practical effects, the acting of Linda Blair as a young child, phenomenal. Special effects, the practical effects, and I did not know that I would learn in one day all the curses that I needed to know by just watching.
Oh yeah.
From the C word to
Oh yeah, folks! If you ever don't, let's be honest. If for those of you that have nieces and nephews that are teenagers, you can have them probably watch this film. They can probably say far worse things than we ever. But I know growing up, if I said damn or hell, I got slapped. So.
Well, this goes beyond that.
Oh yeah,
wow.
yeah. This film takes you to the F's, the bombs, the every word that you thought George Carlin said was illegal to say. They say them and then some.
Yeah, she says it. This young actor, and I also feel that how do I put it? It also puts in perspective in a religious connotation that a priest who's supposed to be a man of God can lose his faith, but also has the everyday worries that we have as, human beings. His mother being ill, his
Humanizes
family,
him.
right? But also puts in perspective is, are we to hold always these people that we give titles to higher than thou? And there was some images recently that I actually took into consideration, especially when during the exorcism, Father Marin, every time he takes out the crucifix, has to kiss the crucifix. Um, uh, there was a choice where one of the priests was going to the chapel and kneeled in front of the altar before he brought the flowers to the altar. And there was some things that I would say, actually, you think in now in modern times in perspective, and especially when we realize that sometimes the exorcism was something that they didn't actually have. It was almost like an scapegoat. We can't figure out what's actually going on, so it has to be, demonic or otherworldly. Where nowadays we can actually pinpoint it might be a mental health issue. So it puts into perspective a lot of things that, in regards to your belief, especially if you examine further into just Father Haras's um, role in this movie. I really like it. I gave it an honorable mention because uh, I actually didn't complete this movie when I was younger. I actually had to wait maybe 2 to 3 years ago to actually watch it and watch the uncut version.
And this is one of those films that I like when I say that it's a bucket list, and I love that you guys agree with me. And I've seen it a few times in the chat, it's popped up. This is one of those films that is so atmospheric that, like, again, it plays on the lighting, it plays on the mood. It's that, there have been other exorcism films, not under the genre. It's more of the genre of the exorcism. The possession. I think they're called possession films.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
is what the subgenre
right.
is called. And like, there's been several in the early 2000s that were very solid, very good films, but they are never going to be this original, which was unsettling, which was it.
It was controversial for that time, for 1973. I mean, this is like right up there with like Rosemary's Baby. It rocked a lot of people.
Mhm.
It's like, this was something that was panned by
Omen.
the mass media. I mean, mind you, that was 73. That's before I believe any of us were born. Dre and I were both 78. Tony, what year were you born?
77.
77. Okay. So see, this is something that was well before our times, literally, but also it was so controversial. And I mean, Max von Sydow, amazing in everything that he's ever been in. I mean, hell, he was even great in Judge Dredd, and that's saying something right there.
God, wait, and we're talking about, folks. We're not talking about Carl Urban. We're talking
No.
Stallone and, oh Lord, Armand Asante, folks. Yes, I'm going to call out some weird names there.
And another
Rob
aspect,
Schneider.
real quick, another aspect of this movie is, word to the wise, don't fuck around with a Ouija board. Fuck around and find out.
Don't fuck
Mm-hmm.
around and find out.
There was a movie called Ouija too.
Yeah.
So,
quite a few of them, actually.
And really, this, if you never had pea soup, you'll never want to have it after watching this movie
God.
either.
But you know what? I do like one thing that's kind of been the thread that I love that you bring into this, Tony, and it means a lot for me because it does evoke.
Oh,
I know. I'm not. We're gonna touch that in a second. We're gonna touch that in a second. I want to kind of get this idea out. The aspect of human nature is very interwoven into these films, so deep because you're right. There's a lot of things that and I think that's that fear, the psychological fear of there are some people that have to poke the bear. Like, why is it this thing? I don't understand it. And I think a modern horror film that did it really well, and a lot of people, I've hated on this film, and I've rewatched it recently a few times, and I kind of got a new like for it, Evil Dead Rise. The new Evil Dead film that came out. And the reason I say that is because when you, like we said, you fuck around, you find out. You should not mess with what you don't understand. And this film tells you, like, we saw it in Constantine with the possession, and we see it in the other haunting.
Necromanimon is wrapped in barbed wire and everything.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, and the thing is, we've seen, like, if we're fans of Supernatural, which I know Dave and I are huge fans of the show Supernatural, the Winchesters, they do a lot of the exorcisms, and they go through the process. But then you look at films that have kind of touched on this. Russell Crowe did that recent film that wasn't really that great. The Last Exorcism, I think it was the title of it. Not a great film, but it really kind of. For those of you that don't know, exorcisms are an actual thing. There is a division of the Vatican and of the Roman Catholic Church that does do this. And then there are people of the subsects of Christianity and Catholicism that do believe in this sort of demonologist job.
There was a TV show on CBS called Evil.
That was a great show.
It was a great show.
It was great. Sad that it ended.
Did it get canceled, or did it come to?
They finished it. Because they had to, like, Michael Coulter was because for those of you that don't know, Michael Coulter, who's Luke Cage, recently kind of became religious again. Yeah,
kind of found religion.
And a lot of people are like, when this show, it was touching a lot on his faith, and that it kind of did a little too much, and he wanted to take the focus off of him and the priest, because there was a lot of talks about extramarital affairs, and a lot of lot of talk of the devil, the Antichrist. It's a great series.
Michael Emerson is in it. Yeah, it's a good cast.
It's a solid TV series. Yeah. I think it ended very well. I think if you are interested, definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's on my watch list.
It's on Netflix and some other streaming services. So yeah, you guys can check it out. But it touches base on that kind of, because I mean, the word is taboo. I think it's the best way to put it. It's taboo. I mean, because we didn't, like, you think of horror movies, you're thinking like monster movies, like your Draculas, your werewolf movies. You had stuff like that in the 70s going into the 80s heavily. We didn't really get a whole lot of this. I mean, we did get a couple. I think there was 3 Exorcists. There was 3 movies in this series.
Yes, there was.
Linda Blair, I think, was at least in 2, if not all 3.
She was in all 3.
I think the second one wasn't as good, but I think the third one kind of brought it back around. But yeah, this is definitely like Dre said, this is a bucket movie. This is a masterclass in horror, and again, all practical effects. The spinning bed and everything was all practical, and this was also spoofed in the 80s. I think mid to late 80s. It was called Repossessed, starring Leslie Nielsen.
Hilarious film.
Okay.
Scary Movie did it too. I mean, there's been a lot.
Yeah. Repossessed did it first, though.
No, Leslie Nielsen did that first. Yes.
Yeah.
But this is one of those films that when you look at the atmosphere, the music. Again, a lot of these films had to play up on creating that sensation, and CGI does a good job of it. Like when you see, I'll use It Chapter 2. Like when the old lady's in the kitchen and you have the practical effects of the rotting food in the kitchen, but that's all you focus on. Then the whole kitchen goes black, and then and you see her come out and she's like a hag and she's all like larger than life. That is some of those fears, and I think that it is what you needed to give you that sense of dread. And I think it's solid. I mean, many people can't watch it. I know that when my mom was alive, she could never watch this movie. She I remember my dad was like, and put it on once. I was like 11, and my mom was like, "Oh no, shut that! That's brujeria. Shut that off." For those of you that don't know, brujeria is witchcraft in Spanish. You didn't want to mess with that, because my mom thought like it was bad bad taboo. And then if you look in the late 80s, early 90s, we had a movie called True Believers, which is very much that plays into the brujeria, santeria, kind of exorcism, demonologist subculture that comes from the Caribbean. And I think a lot of these films kind of bled these ideas into pop culture. So you would see them now and people are like, oh yeah, man, who cares? Like, no, it's tied to deep-rooted cultural fears and biases and a lot of tribalism, and it's got a lot of layers to it. But
Well, you
again,
mentioned what you just mentioned really brings to mind, came to from my cerebellum was Serpent and the Rainbow.
oh, that was a great movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow. Love that film. They need to remake that. Like, I would love to see that movie remade now.
Fantastic.
I think that was like there's that. Damn, man, you hit me with a good deep cut there. Bravo, because I'm like
that's highly recommended.
And that was Wes Craven.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wes Craven, Bill Pullman, Kathy Tyson, Paul Winfield, a lot of well-known 80s actors in there.
In the Mouth of Madness just got remade too on Blu-ray, just in case, because you know how when we could crack these jokes. My teen daughter was talking about it when we were having dinner tonight about how like you had to watch it, you stay in front of your phone because like stuff like you start seeing ads for it. So I was on Amazon and because Dave and I and Tony and I have been talking about horror films, a lot of those have been popping up in my thing, and then I saw they were like, oh, check this out, like it's coming out soon on Blu-ray, the like 50th anniversary or some bullshit of like the Into the Mouth of Madness. And I was like, damn, like the cover art looked creepy and scary, and it was like it was very thought evoking, and I want to lead it into mine. And why do I go with the complete gore fest? So I have to preface this with a brief story. So Saw has been 11 films. Isn't
there another one coming?
There is a potential another prequel that they're looking at doing, or it's a side. Some of them are side quests. We're not going to bleed into that. So I think it was the third or fourth film. And a friend of mine and this girl that he was kind of interested in seeing, we all went and saw. I was the one that had the car, so I drove us all to the theater to go see it.
Designated Dre.
So I had just come back from. I remember I was visiting family in North Carolina, so I flew back. They're like, "Hey Dre, let's go to the movies. My treat." I was like, "All right, we go to the movies," and we went up to White Plains to the movie theater in White Plains, and we were like, I think there was like 13 people, maybe 14 people in the theater. And at one point, there is a scene where Jigsaw rigged it, where the detective is caught. And if this guy opens the door, the wrong key, it will release two hammers that will come and crush his skull like a Gallagher watermelon.
Wasn't it Carrie Elways?
It was not Carrie. It wasn't Carrie. It was Danny Wahlberg.
Okay.
Donnie Wahlberg. It was Donnie. So Donnie Wahlberg's up there and he's like, no, he's screaming. And I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat laughing hysterically. I'm the only one laughing in the theater. So I know everybody else is like, what? Because I knew the guy I was like, man, you guys are rigging this to be like, they're going to pick the wrong key and it's gonna be Gallagher. And what happens? You see those hammers come and crush Donnie's head, and it looks like the way they zoomed in, I swear you could have taken Gallagher crushing a watermelon, and that would have been the exact imagery.
Sledge-o-matic.
And that aside for the humor, when I saw this film, Carrie Hughes, we all know Princess Bride, everything the guy touches is amazing. But when you watch this film, you are really exposed to a true serial killer that you don't realize till way later in the film series that you feel somewhat bad for.
Tobin Bell.
Odd. Tobin Bell, fantastic actor. I'll give it to him. But when you have to make, I love the idea of the practical fear of, in a choice, what would you do if you can live, but something has to be given for your life? Like, you have to enjoy the fact that you are alive, but lose
Equivalent
something.
exchange.
Alchemy. Simple Full Metal Alchemist for you anime nerds like myself. You got to give to get. And if you don't give, you're gone. And when you think about, would you sit there digging in a body to get a key out to free yourself, and then have to cut the chain off your foot, cut your foot off because you couldn't cut the chain? What would you do? And I love that there's those different. Now, obviously, as the film series, for those of you that are fans of the series, it does go off the rails. But I think the series does one thing. It does. Yeah, it totally does. But I think that my favorite part about it maybe was the fact that it did go off the rails, but it did something else that I liked, which was turn him into a cult. Jigsaw became a cult, an ideal. Sort of like Hydra. Like, you could stomp out one head, but Hydra would still be, two more would come up in its place. And I felt like every time you were like, he's dead. Jigsaw's dead. No, motherfucker's not dead. Dude, who's that?
Evil doesn't die.
Exactly. And then, like, you see him keep coming back, and then I think that it was so many great plot twists.
100%, Allison.
Oh no, they're not going to let this cash cow die. But I think that they realized they had to reinvent the wheel halfway through, and I think that that's where they started kind of bringing it back and bringing it back and bringing it back. Could I ever see more of this again? No. Do I want them to remake this series? No. Why does it get the honorable mention? I think for it being in the early 2000s, late 90s, kind of like stepping out of that, oh, look at the gore fest. Now the gore has a reason. And what would you do to survive? So I think that that's why this made my cut for honorable mention.
Let me jump in real quick. And also to have the avatar, Billy the Puppet.
Oh, God, dude.
Just an awesome marketing aspect of the film.
That puppet is so iconic. It's even a skin in
Fortnite.
I
have it.
That's
okay.
Cool.
Wait, Dre, you play Fortnite?
I know. I retired. You know, I retired.
Semi-retired. We're gonna bring you back at some point.
If you can get me off Rivals.
But Saw, again, you heard me say before, when it comes to like a horror movie, whether it's a vampire, zombie, if you get a movie, a horror movie that can flip the script, turn it on its ear, and reinvent itself. And that's the thing. It's like Dre said, you have to exchange, you have to do something, you have to play. Do you want to play a game? I mean, we've seen all the memes, all the viral videos, people that made jokes about this. But and like Dre said, it turns into a cult, literally. I'm not going to spoil it, but certain people maybe work or maybe pupils under Jigsaw. And I mean, it just flips. I mean, I actually pulled up IMDb. The very first one, we had Danny Glover, Dina Mayer, Michael Emerson. We mentioned him in Evil. Shawnee Smith, who I was going to have a little thing for her. Tobin Bell was,
She's a cute goth girl. She's that cute goth girl.
No, she goes back to like I remember seeing her in a few 80s movies, including 1988's Summer School with Mark Harmon. And also, Christy, I'm blanking on her damn name. From Cheers, you know who I'm talking. She played Rebecca. Christy Alley, and also Star Trek too. She was in there. I mean, you had so many. Carrie Elways. I mean, you had a lot of great people in there. And this was just something this is something we never saw before.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there? This is something we never experienced before. We've had Freddy, we've had Jason, we've had Michael Myers, We've had Maniac Cop. I mean, we've had some pretty twisted,
Maniac
crazy,
Cop.
crazy killers out there. The Cenobites from Hellraiser. We had the Phantasm. I mean, we had so many Children of the Corn. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We never had the likes of Jigsaw before. This was a seemingly mortal man who was plotting revenge on people, and he wanted to teach them a lesson. And everything was, of course, CGI was applied, obviously, in certain situations, but the contraptions, the traps themselves were so real, so elaborate. How many damn haunted houses around Halloween time do you go and you see?
Deep cut, Dave. I caught that deep cut. You'll catch the joke later. I figured that in post,
okay.
If you get it, haunted houses.
Now you go to these the seasonal Halloween haunted houses, and how many times you see something that you see a saw or you see a chain in like a pseudo bathroom or shower. You see inspirations. Saw inspired so many. Just so much in the horror genre. There's so many takes to it. It's one of those. Correction. He is a kidnapper.
No, he's a killer. You make it. Listen, if you are put in, look, I'm gonna argue this and fight me on this. If I put anybody in a Kobayashi Maru, that's me killing you. If I give you no way, if I lock you in a room and say the air is going to be pulled out of this room,
unless you reprogram it.
But again,
unless you can come up with a hack, no pun intended, to get you out of the situation.
If I put you in a situation where you have no way to win, then I'm killing you. True or not? If I put a gun in a room and say, do Squid Games. If anybody's seen Squid Game season 2,
yes.
that beginning sequence, that guy literally
season 1 was
rigged.
I never saw season 1. Sorry.
But Tony gets it. You know the scene I'm talking about. There's when the guys, they're questioning the guy and he's sitting there. The two of them are going back and forth, and that guy then made the choice that if he didn't do it, it was either we both die or I die to save him. That's no win. That's a murder situation. So you have to. You can't win.
With Jigsaw, you're always going to pay your pound of flesh.
Thank you. You pay your pound of flesh, and then we also know later in the film series, it comes to light that there were scenes where there was, and I'm going to use Dina Mayer, putting her hand inside the acid while in the subway, before the thing hangs, before she gets hanged, and her hand's melting, and the key was at a place where she could not get the key up. Unwinnable situation. So that's
games.
Exactly. You can't tell me the claw game's not rigged. You can rig the claw. The game was rigged, and that's why he's a murderer. He's a serial killer, and that's how they looked at him in the series. He's not a serial killer.
I didn't stand my Fruit Loops.
Before we move on to Scream, let me just make one point in regards to Saw.
Go ahead, bro.
Me and one of my friends from college, we went to see this movie, and we looked at each other, and she looked at me. I looked at her at the end when Tobin Bell was there the whole time and gets up and walks away.
That is the creepiest shit. That scene when you brought I brought that. I know Saturday Night did a spoof on it. I know Mad TV did a spoof on it too, where the guys getting up hey, you win, and it was what, you were here the whole time. And I mean, you're right. The fact that he just was and it just walks completely nothing.
Yeah, the whole time. And every time that movie came out, we had to go see it because it was one of those.
You wanted to see what could they do worse?
How could they escalate the next contraption?
Final Destination did the same shit, folks. We all did. We did not want to see trees crushing a car, but then you were a roller coaster shooting people off into the sky and then blowing up. Yes, please. Fast and Furious. Why did you see 10 movies? Hence 11. Because they couldn't take the cars just anywhere. They took them to space. So just put it that way.
Wasn't it a Fiero that they just drove in space? I think it was.
Yeah, they took the last one. He's like, they put on a rocket. They said, who knew I was gonna put that?
Almost every franchise winds up in space at one point.
Yeah,
Well,
at one point.
there's a shark or a planet you have to jump.
Or dinosaurs.
Yeah, but Final Destination taught us if you see a truck that's pulling logs or lumber, don't drive behind it. Just drive away from it.
And that actually happened to me today. I mean, they were just stumps, but I actually had to go around the car.
How many times if you're on the highway, you see that and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to drive behind this. No.
Allison wins for
made you more cautious drivers. That's what it did. I watched 10 movies of Fast and Furious, waiting for Vin Diesel to make out with The Rock.
She wins. Comment of the night.
She went. She's the reigning champion. She's the reigning champion when it comes to that. Now,
no one's dethroning her. I'm gonna have to make a belt for you because that is comment of the night.
I thought you said no one's deep throating her, but okay.
Whoa! Hey, look at that. We got double D's is talking too much there. I love it though. I love it. Well,
it's after midnight on the East Coast, so I mean, it's
all East Coast. All three of us are East Coast, baby.
Okay,
it's all good.
But I'm just saying, it's 101. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, mine's asleep.
Hopefully in bed, right?
She's out. That little one's like this on the couch.
My cats are asleep right now, so
my teenager's knocked out. My wife's knocked out.
Your toddler probably isn't.
Oh, she's knocked out. I literally checked on her, and she's out sleeping. She's done.
Well, no. What I keep waiting for is people keep saying, "Oh, when is Fantastic or when is Fast and Furious crossing over with like Jurassic Park or something?" I was like, "Please don't, please."
Universal, they'll make it happen. It's all about family and the dinosaurs. Let's go, Blue.
It's all about Jurassic.
You're
my boy, Blue.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just I'm waiting for the final.
Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez actually did a commercial.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, hey, why not make some money? He's still talking about doing another Riddick.
Hey, I'm down for that. I'm actually down.
He's young enough. Let him do it.
I enjoy them. He was on Instagram about a week and a half ago. He was talks about the final Riddick, which would be going to Planet Furia, and also studio wants to talk to him about another Triple X. They left it open.
I think you need to do another. I think you need to finish that series, Triple X.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind that, but that's another talk for another.
Also, the two video games he was in were excellent as well.
Oh yeah. The sequel, the actual based on Pitch Black, and then his subsequent like Riddick styles. Yeah, 100%.
Great.
So Dave, do you care to talk about?
Listen, I will explain myself. Okay, everyone has their own points of view.
Mm-hmm.
Scream came out for me. It was a time when we didn't have a whole lot of, for me, at least from my perspective, a lot of enjoyable new horror movies coming out. It was kind of, it's like in a fight. If you keep telegraphing a move, you already know what's coming. You already know that you can block. There's no challenge. When it's something that's regurgitated kind of over and over, and it doesn't excite you anymore. Scream kind of revitalized or made me enjoy horror movies again. Okay, this is Wes Craven. Of course, I mean Neve Campbell. She's always going to be a celebrity crush for me. Okay, she's always going to be that. The fact that we killed Drew Barrymore off right in the beginning.
Exactly.
I mean, some of these killings are actually hilarious and enjoyable. I dare say that aspects of this movie are very comical. What's the one the nerdy guy? I'm trying to think of his actual Jamie Kennedy, who plays Stu, that comes up with like the movie rules, and a lot of it's kind of true. They're mocking other horror movies, but they're actually presenting an enjoyable, scary movie for me because you don't know who the killer is until the absolute end, and then like it's just a couple of nitwits. And some of the best lines, peer pressure. There's some comical moments. And for me, seeing this in a movie theater.
I'm dying, man.
Now, let me explain. Seeing this in a movie theater is one of the most insane experiences I ever had because I was working at the skating rink. Uh, Me and a bunch of people that I worked with, we all decided to go next door to the movie theater that was showing this movie. Now, one of our managers was a very loud, kind of semi-obnoxious guy. Like when he laughs, people a block away can hear this guy laughing. That's how hysterical this guy is when he laughs. Right? Couple of my coworkers sit with him in the front row, including my boss's then wife, and me and this other girl that worked with us. I was like, yeah, I'm not sitting with Elshan. No, I'm gonna sit a couple rows back. If you want to hang out, hang out. So we both sat back. 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the movie, he is hooping and hollering, like laughing his ass off. And she just looked at me. She said, how did you know? I said, I can see it coming. But it was a fun experience because it was comical at times. I mean, hell, Rose McGowan getting caught in the friggin' cat door, the little pet door in the garage door was friggin' hilarious that she gets caught that way. I mean, some of the killings, yes, were kind of stupid, but it kept you guessing like who could be the killer. You're trying to kind of solve the mystery. It was something that kind of checked a lot of boxes for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Did I enjoy the sequels so much? Not until maybe
7.
the more recent ones when we covered them.
6 and 7. Those
like
are
the other ones.
fantastic.
The other ones, not so much. But this was a time when you had I Know What You Did Last Summer. You know, you really didn't have a lot of really great stuff, but this was enjoyable for me. So as an honorable mention, this started to revitalize, the horror genre at least a little bit. It was kind of a shot in the arm. It was a bit of kind of bringing back the nostalgia of your typical teenagers trying to outwit a killer when it actually winds up being more than one killer.
It played upon that Guess Who aspect as well.
Yeah, and it's ironic that both actors who supposedly are dead in the series are somehow coming back for the next one.
I've heard
we have the establishment of how the one character can return after the last one. Because remember, she was having a vision of.
Don't worry. Because there's people that want to actually watch the films. I know I've seen it. I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
And I do agree because you and I did mention it when we did review the movie.
Oh yeah, definitely right.
There was a lot of like some of the actors have been approached to come back, and I do know that the film is currently kind of in developmental hell, like almost as bad as Blade.
Actually, I think it's moving forward past that. So it's going a little bit further now than supposed Blade. And let's be honest, there's only ever going to be one Blade.
Well, just a really quick nod since we are talking about horror. Blade is actually now got its script finally written, so people are finally happy. Will it ever be directed? Who knows? Will it ever be principally shot? Who knows? But the script was written. Now, as far as I knew with Scream, the next installment of the films, I knew that Jenna Ortega was not coming back on. And I knew that's that I kind of don't like, but I understand why, because of Wednesday and now all the other Hollywood social media BS that's going behind her. So sadly, her character was great in the film, but I love the sister more. I think the sister is a way more solid character. I think there's a lot more you could develop her to be. We're gonna leave it at that. Just watch the film. Watch the more recent stuff, and you'll love it.
But I'll say this: I really enjoy this. But no doubt. I mean, even Stevie Wonder takes the shades off. Like,
also, Allison says it's already filming. I knew Nev Campbell was coming back.
See, Allison knows.
Yeah. She's always in the know.
Nev.
Swing.
But some other honorable mentions I considered. Blade 2, believe it or not. I know, Dre. I know. Didn't matter what I was picking for honorable mention, Dre was going to look at me sideways.
No, Blade 2 was going to get the worst thing because I told him Blade 2 you can't use because it's a superhero film.
but it is a horror movie because you have vampires, and now there's a greater menace.
No, it's a horror movie because it's terrible.
That wanted to take out humans and vampires. So think about that.
Norman Reedus was in the film. You want to stretch it really far? Norman Reedus was in it.
Oh, you mean one of the stars of The Walking Dead?
Yeah. So look. I'm gonna stretch. It. No, bro. Sorry. It was not a good film.
Dre, Tony, did I say it was a good film? No, but it's one of my honorable mentions.
I wouldn't put it even in that, but I respect you, Dave. I respect you.
So come on, hit me with your rebuttal on Scream.
On Scream, honestly, I don't dislike the film. I do agree with everything, and I've agreed with this. I think it was at the time it was a necessary boost in the arm. It was a change of the guard. We both agreed with that when we reviewed the newer films. We said that the newer films were that for the modern era because it's been we've seen the tropes done of the slasher film. There's been like Happy Death Day, which is a very...
Never saw it. I saw the trailer and it interested me.
But it's Scream. It's Scream with a more supernaturally effect to it.
Valentine's Day, House of Wax,
or Heart Eyes, that new one that just came out recently.
Yeah,
a lot of these.
Smile. Films, I haven't watched that.
Smile's fantastic. I think that's actually
I think Smile 2 improved upon.
Yeah, it's actually doing the genre. We're taking that genre from a supernatural, bringing in some cultural stuff, bringing in a lot of weird mysticism to it, but then having it be this, real world affected, social commentary. I think Scream back in the 90s, when this film, we could always say we got the weather, we got the scary movie but when you think about what this brought to the genre, after the 19 million Freddy Krueger movies, the 19 million Michael Myers movies, the 19 million Jason movies, you needed, aliens and werewolves and vampires. There was so much of that oversaturation. A slasher that was not superhuman, and it went for a trope. Go after the kids, like Sleepaway Camp.
The voice box.
The voice box.
The voice box was.
What's your favorite scary movie?
And the fact that they it's not going to be one person. It's going to be two of us. We're going to be trading on and off. So that's how the killer can be in two places at once. And they really went down a route that. I think some of us, when we were younger, we would talk, how do you kill, think of Monster Squad. How do you kill a vampire? How do you do this? Or people, there was, Perfect Murder was a TV show on ABC for a number of years with Viola Davis. It makes you think if I was going to
murder, I think
that was the title of it. But it makes you think well, if I was going to be a killer in a slasher film, what kind of a killer would I be? How would I do it? And it goes down that route, and it achieves it. It was good enough that we had an explosion of several sequels. Even the soundtracks were actually for the time. I think the first Scream soundtrack and the third one actually sold pretty well. I'm a soundtrack person,
a lot of metal, a lot of rock And I'm gonna agree with what Beast is saying. Every decade does have that sort of film. When you look at The Exorcist from the 70s and the Damien Omen, Rosemary's Baby, then you get into the 80s where it's Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, and you get into the 90s and it's
Freddy versus Jason.
No, we're gonna revisit the slasher and start going really deeper into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the things like that. And then you get into paranormal. Once we hit the 2000s, it really did go down that Ghost, The Fourth Kind, Paranormal Activity. Then
found footage,
a lot of the found footage genre. And then we moved into the mid 2000, between 2005 and 2010, where it was the invasion of the Asian horror film, The Eye, the Ring, all that. Then you have this in the 2010s, I gotta give it The Conjuring. If I were to say The Conjuring was probably one of the best, I mean, James Wan, I love what he does. Superhero films, he needs to stay the fuck away from. Like, don't touch. You didn't do good with that. You did great with Swamp Thing as a TV show. Fucking killed Swamp Thing. Amazing. Sad that that North Carolina, we had to screw him on taxes. That's why he wasn't able to to make a sequel series for the television. But when you look at what was done, you're right. There were benchmarks that were like changing of the guards for those times. It was done with action films. It's been done with, superhero films have been
sci-fi, everything, every genre.
Everybody's done.
I mean, even rom-coms. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier today. I saw the trailer and I'm questioning myself, why would you even do this? Freakier Friday.
Oh yeah, I saw that today too.
And I'm like, why? But hey, they're gonna make money any way they can. But
the 20, you know what the 2020s are? The 2020s remakes. That's all it is. It's remakes and redos.
So
no original ideas.
Let's go on to our final picks. Are you ready?
I need to see your number one. I'm curious. Okay. I'm happy. It's a win.
I mean, you went with 13 Ghosts.
You knew I was. I told you I was going with that. I had to. I'm not. Tony's pick is by far another masterclass in doing. I mean, Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he won Academy Awards. I mean, Jodie Foster. I mean, he can go down the list of why that movie's fantastic. But Tony, I need you to fill me in on the love of this film that spawned a great series from the novels. And really didn't even give us more from the novels. I wish they gave us more from Red Dragon, but go ahead.
And also the TV show, Hannibal.
Hannibal was fantastic. That was a great show. Underrated.
Well, when you have the Oscars also giving this the first horror movie to receive, I think the first and only horror movie to receive picture, and also 4 additional, including Best Actor, Male Actor, Actress.
Yeah, Best. She was Jodie Foster she was Best Actress, and Lecter was, Anthony Hopkins for Best Male.
Screenplay. And just amazing, and also one of the most quotable movies.
There you go.
I had to
Silence of the Lambs is a rare case where the movie is better than the book.
But I wanted more. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really wanted more from with Red Dragon, with the Silence of the Lambs. I think they spiked that touchdown. That was amazing. I mean, Hopkins, like you said, it's so quotable. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to see the case. I would like to see the case. It intrigues me.
Ted Levine.
Ted Levine, excellent. I'd fuck me. It puts the lotion in the basket. Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
Yeah. Put the lotion in the basket.
I love it.
So I'm looking at
the lotion on
it on IMDb. You'll never guess who was in here. A legend of film. Roger Corman.
I knew he was.
Roger Corman. You had Chris Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here.
Chris Isaac was one of the FBI agents.
Anthony Harold. Of course, we had Ted Levine, Scott Glenn. But yeah, Anthony Hopkins was just friggin' amazing.
I mean, just the filleting of the people, like, and I say that in like the weirdest way of complimenting it. Like, you have to look at this is one of those descent into madness.
John Wick, what? Huh?
Think of the descent into madness. That it's like you're watching Foster reach that level of understanding the serial killer.
Right. Well, like you said, this is a masterclass in action.
It is. It is. I
from the protagonist and the male antagonist, and also you also have here that the main plot is as good as the subplot.
Oh hell, the goggles towards the end when like they're in the house and
Yes, that was so creepy.
and you hear the breathing. It's all you hear is her breathing.
Right,
And
and he's
I
just
remember
watching,
it's like pew, and you hear the high pitched sound from the goggles,
and his
and you're
hand like so close to her.
yeah, like you see the
Um,
hand
yeah,
like that. It's oh man, the hairs on my arm standing up. I remember that shit.
Well, Dre, I want to point out Tony has picked out several films that are master classes.
Which you know what, when this is his list of the best, so I don't have any expectation that we weren't going to see some beautiful pieces, and I knew your list prior to you coming on the show, but it's hearing you explain it and hearing your spin on it. It makes me, and I think even for Dave too, it really is making me think when I rewatch this film again. I have to look at it through that lens because I didn't think about it from that perspective. I didn't think about it from this perspective. And this film, I've rewatched it maybe 1,000 times, and it gets creepier almost every time I watch it. Because Lecter, I remember when they were talking, Hopkins, they made him lose weight to do this film. They kept dyeing his hair as he was getting older, as this film was getting more, and they wanted to do more and more, and they wanted him to reprise his role as Lecter. Mads Mikkelsen does a fantastic job as Hannibal as Lecter in the series. I don't like the movie that was the precursor to the television show. That would have been my only negative out of this whole thing, because I felt like that was not what we needed.
I sadly I didn't see the TV series.
Oh God, talk about a masterclass in modern television! Like really wanting to fuck with your head.
yeah.
Like if
And
they
the
could have
photography,
made
the choices they made, and the art direction.
oh the art, the levels, dude, the way you are trying to understand how he sees the serial killer's mind, and then the interplay of like. I think Lawrence Fishburne in season 2 of the show was so that opening sequence in episode 1 of season 2, where Fishburne and Lecter are having that fight, the physical fight in the house, and then you're like, wait a second, why are they fighting? Like, huh? And then it's like then it does Memento. Like, let's start all over again. Like, let's pick up at how these two met. And I'm like, no, like, tell me, why are they fighting? Like, why did he stab him in the gut and he's going to eat his ass? Like, what's going on? Such a fantastic movie.
Once again, also Silence of the Lambs, also social commentary of a female agent in a male-dominated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what Chris Isaac. Because remember, he was the other agent that was her like rival, that was like talking down to her. And I mean, Jodie Foster in and of herself is a fantastic actress. I'll give her flowers.
And director.
Panic.
Well, no, I'm saying she's an accomplished director, so
I think better as an actress, personally speaking. That's just my take. But I do like the way you look at it with the social commentary, especially at that time. Like, remember, folks, this is also the time where like G.I. Jane we're starting to get films where women are looked at differently because of their role in the military, or the role in law enforcement. And I did like that. And like Lecter didn't even look at her. Their relationship was something else that is a weird. Like there's like people. I remember reading something that somebody had said that it was very sexual. I was like, no, because Lecter is supposed to be. The idea of Lecter is that he was, kind of. Not just. It was more like he was grooming her. Like, if I'm going to go do things, I want you to be the one to find me. And this is why you're going to find me, because you understand how I work. But it was different. And I think, like you said, like that layer, like you really, man, dude, you definitely got to come back on here with some more of these hits, because you're giving me bangers here. Like, I'm sitting here like, wow, like,
thanks, brother.
I wouldn't have even thought about it like that. Like, I seriously would never have thought of like, oh man, like shit, like that was something with the law enforcement, and that is something that permeates the other films. That like when they had not Juliette Lewis,
Julianne
Julianne
Moore
Moore.
in the sequel.
And she, granted she does a shitty Southern accent. She's beautiful. I love me some redheads. She's beautiful. But the Ray Liotta, may he rest in peace.
when he's eating out of Ray
Oh,
Liotta's
it's so
brain.
yummy! It smells like peanut butter. Folks, if you haven't seen the movie, definitely check that one scene out. Was hilarious in and of itself.
And then that surprise twist ending, where you're not expecting, you thought they already have it in order. The guy's flying.
I gotta agree with Allison here. Her accent is better than Jodie Foster sounded like she was trying to sound like Holly Hunter when she was talking. Just kind of the way she was pronounced. Some of the pronunciations.
She was like, "I'm just gonna, I'm an agent with the."
Well, look at this.
Well, hello, Oz.
Hey, brother, what's up?
But yeah, she pursed her lips like real tight. She was like, I'm an agent at the FBI, and I'm gonna tell you in HCP.
Not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's how.
Okay, Mr. Hyatt.
But oh shit, that was creepy, Dave. That sounded just spot on. Don't do that again. That's scary. But I mean, Lecter, like I said, I love it when he was like, when he talks about like that's the way he was eating people on the menu and the planning and like there's a lot of I can't wait. When you come back on, Allison, you're definitely gonna have to do that. I'll remind you. But I think like that is another. I don't think this is one of those films that you can. It's a master class because of Anthony Hopkins, 100%. I think the three of us can agree with that. Do I think it's on the movie that you have to see before you die, like bucket list of films? No. I think a lot of people cannot stomach a lot of it, and it may, if you're not into
no pun intended.
I know, very very good call on that one, there, buddy. I think if you're not into the psychological drama, because as much as this is a horror film, and you could almost say it's a slasher film because of Buffalo Bill. I mean, it really does hit on a lot of dark levels.
Yeah, it crosses a lot of genres.
Yeah, I mean, because I've heard people say it's a horror film. I've heard people say, I mean, NECA sells the Lecter figures, and he's a horror figure. Movie Maniacs, McFarlane did.
Well, NECA also makes Alf figures, and so I'm putting it out there.
That motherfucker's evil too. What are you talking about?
He eats cats.
Exactly, bro.
Hey.
Nightmare Before Christmas. They lit their.
That's a NECA.
I know.
I'm just saying. So
I think that you hit bangers, man.
It has a nightmare in the title.
Facts. That's a banger of a film. I own it. It's one of those movies that you have to own if you're in the genre and a horror fan.
I still have the VHS sealed.
Oh, now see that
collector's item.
Did you ever think of getting that graded?
No.
That would be something.
I have to find it first.
Yes. I 100% love that choice.
And the title itself, The Silence of the Lambs, there's an actual deeper story in regards to why the movie was named The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, and with the whole idea of the moths and the rebirth, I mean, there's so many like ideals that they bring up and mythology and even like I think they delve a lot more into it in the TV show and in Red Dragon than they did in Silence of the Lambs, because again, they're not hunting Lecter in the film, they're hunting Buffalo Bill. So for you for the people that want to watch this film, Hopkins is as much as he's the antagonist, he's really not. He's actually really kind of a subplot protagonist because he's actually already been captured. So, and he's helping the good guys, even though he's kind of corrupt in his own way. So watch this film. I think giving it one good solid watch is, I think, 100% worth it for your lifetime. If you really want to watch it more than once.
Or read the book first and then watch it and make comparisons between the two.
And then tell us what you think. Because I like that 100%.
Because I think it was Allison who pointed out that this is one of the few movies that is better than the book. So, and it's nice. And I think it's good practice in cinema to, if something's based on an actual book, comic book or whatever, read the core material first and then see the film and see where the subtle differences are, because there's always differences between a novelization or the actual core material is based on.
100%. And again, excellent number one choice. I think even Dave, like your choice, spot on. I loved it.
I mean,
Loved it.
30 Days of Night. I mean, it's a vampire movie. It is a vicious vampire movie. But imagine, usually with a vampire movie, you just have to last until daybreak. There is no daybreak for 30 days up in
Right.
Alaska there. So, I mean, and this is more vicious. This is more visceral. Well, we already said the word vicious, but it's very visceral. It's very like, how do you last? You know, we had Josh Hartnett in this. We had some pretty good portrayals in here, but it kind of ripped open. Again, I said before, I love when they take a genre of horror and they turn it on its head and they flip the script on us. This did have, I think there's 2 or 3 movies
There's 2
in
other
total.
movies afterwards.
So there's 2 sequels, but this is definitely the better. I think the original is still the better of them all. But it flips the script. I mean, we get these black-eyed, just gray skinned, kind of just pale vampires that are they're just on a never-ending binge
With their
of ripping
language
people
too.
apart.
The
Huh?
language was, I think, the one thing
Yeah.
that made this film for me stand out. And I'm gonna let you continue, but I wanted to touch on it. Was it's Slavic? They're speaking the language that would have been what Draculia,
The ancestral vampiric language.
exactly,
Yeah.
that Romanian, like that Slavic middle Europe, like Eastern European dialect. And I think that was what made it even scarier, because they're like, and it's very guttural and angry and like howls.
It's
And
not a sexy language.
and it evoked fear when they spoke.
Right.
Like they would, and it was always like these, like, ooh, like they made it sound like almost animalistic as well as a human language. So 110%, Dave. Oof.
I mean, we had Josh Hartnett. Let's see who else we had here.
Danny Hudson.
Ben Foster's in here. Danny Hudson, and a lot of people know him from, regrettably, Wolverine Origins.
Oh,
He
God.
played Stryker.
Oh, Stryker.
But I mean, he's been in so many great films. Mark Boone Jr., who of course was in Sons of Anarchy. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have not a ton of big talent, but we have some good actors in here. But Josh Hartnett as the I think he was like the sheriff or deputy of the town. He's the one who's trying to keep people alive, and to me, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites.
Scene.
It is a favorite movie.
That opening scene, I remember when I was in the theaters watching this, and it was there. Josh Hartnett's driving the truck on that ice, like the middle of Alaska. It's like the daylight's still there, and they're on that road, and it's all quiet. Like all you just hear is them driving, and the next thing you know, you see the loud blade that cuts through the ice.
I mean,
and
take a look at those fingers right there with the claws.
Really? Yeah, there we go. That was,
and
like I said, the blacked out eyes.
The sheer number of teeth they had.
and it was almost like they were in a constant state of trance. Like they would always move like this. Like it was very methodical in their movement, very animal. Like if you watch an animal that's in the forest, like stalking prey, they're like this. Like you ever see a tiger walk back and forth? There's a lot of animalistic elements, I think, in this film that
hiding underneath the houses. It was just, or the cabins, because it was just the way it was designed. The town.
The dude that got ripped up in the shredder was, felt so bad for him. And it's also, for those of you that don't know, this is based on a graphic novel series. Yeah, you can read, and there are more books into the series. It was done by Image Comic Books. In case you guys didn't know, I loved it for that.
Yeah, this is a good favorite of mine.
Yeah, and we got to go to mine. You left mine off.
I got to pull it back up.
And the last of the films, and I think this is one I think I would. It's been pretty much everybody that's a fan of horror has seen this film. 13 Ghosts, Tony Shalhoub, Matthew Lillard, Shannon Elizabeth. You know, I remember watching this film the very first time I saw it when I was younger. And I was kind of like, it's whatever. You know, who doesn't want to see a half-naked, big-boobied, like, ghost chick running
Triple
around?
D's, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Triple D's. I'm watching it. I was like, whatever. Then I remember, like, at one point, and this was about maybe 10, 12 years ago, somebody sat down with the directors, and this was on a deep cut of the DVDs and Blu-rays, and they started going through the lore of each of the 13 ghosts. And there was talks that there was going to be a television series that Amazon Prime wanted to do that was going to be an episode. Each episode was going to be dedicated to how the ghost basically became the ghost, like their human counterpart to the ghost and then being captured. And I was all in on it. I was like, please do this. Please do this. And then sadly, they never did. I know that people have asked Shalhoub and Lillard, would you guys do a remake? Would you guys do a sequel? I know that many people have wanted to do a remake of this film. And then I rewatched it earlier this week. But I'm going to say I don't want to see a remake of this film. I think in and of itself, as the isolated time period, it is the perfect amalgam of what we needed and a formula to make a good horror film.
I can't argue against Allison here. She has a point.
Oh no, she's completely in this film, and as the daughter, she was terrible. Like, Shalhoub was the character I cared the most about, and Tony Shalhoub is a fantastic actor. Lillard was a little over the top, but I think that was intentional for his character.
That he played who he's kind of known for in that time frame.
Yeah,
because this was what year was this? This was
2000.
2001.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because Scream was 1996, so 5 years later.
And this kind of
let's say Willard and Shannon were subpar. We have another character that was amazing.
And yeah, Tony Shalhoub.
The house itself.
Oh yeah, the design of the house. I mean, we had F. Murray Abraham, who's a well-known actor. This is kind of like one of his last roles. But yeah, the house, the design, the set design. Let me see if I can pull up some of those images again. I mean, like amazing. We see the writing, which is like basically it's spell casting to hold the ghost in that particular room. I mean, the whole house was just like, sorry, Dre, I have to say, it's one big, massive set of ghost traps. Well, which it is.
But that's the concept, was because they're trying to open a portal. This was actually the idea and premise behind this movie was alchemy. Was the idea of everlasting life. And that's kind of like how Shalhoub is, and it was tied into this whole family that was looking into necromancy, and I think that when we look at the genre films that were breaking into the 2000s, supernatural films were starting to become that craze. You started looking at more and more of these films rising up, and I think this film has the campy element to it. It has the straight up fear element in it.
All the people who are in the film. I'm trying to see if we have more images. I don't think so.
It's like, I want to
showing celebrities?
Character designs as well.
Yeah, like the spells on the wall, the ideas, the ghosts themselves being individual characters with lore and history. It shows what the writers were trying to do.
Yeah, because they had a certain type of ghost for each room, because it was, like you said, it was like a recipe for to do that spell to open up the portal to the afterlife.
Exactly. And
Because they tease Tony Shalhoub like, hey, wouldn't you like to speak to your wife again?
and who wouldn't? When you
Yeah.
pitch that, like, who wouldn't want to if you lost a loved one? If you got 5 extra minutes, can I get 5 minutes? What would you do? And then you find out there's like, oh, my creepy uncle who died left this evil fucking mansion made of glass and mirrors that shifts and is actually ghost traps. And now my kid, myself, and this creepy
ghost version of Evil Dead, if you will.
It kind of was like, and you know what? You guys brought up a good point. I didn't even think about that. The house was a character in the film.
Yeah.
The actual house. It wasn't like the ghosts were just the thing, and Schloob and Elizabeth and Lillard and Murray. It's like you're really looking at that house was the, like, what was the other one? The House on Haunted Hill.
Yes.
A lot of people were like, oh, that movie was terrible. And it was, because it instead of the house being the focal point, it was the actors.
Yeah. There's plenty of movies where you can say, one of the best actors wasn't an actor. It was a car. It was a house. It was some kind of inanimate object. Think of Star Trek, the Enterprise. It's its own character, if you will. Or think of, some of the sets. Like think of Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, or think of Last Crusade, the chamber with all the, he has to go through all the different, like everything has its own characters, its own kind of essence to it. Something that like is, I'm trying to find the right words to convey it. It's just something that goes beyond, something that, the acting is good, the writing is good, but if it wasn't for that kind of setting.
Right. The house was central to the plot.
It's exactly like Amityville Horror or The Shining.
Yes.
Those two movies centered around a building, an entity, a dark presence, right? But that dark presence was tied to the actual established place. And then there was lore behind why that place was so rife with evil. If you look at Stephen King with The Shining, it's the shining, the shine, the ability, the power. When you look at Amityville, it's a gateway to one of the several gateways on the ley lines to hell. It had so much depth. And I agree with you, Allison, that post 9/11, people were looking for an outlet to not be real. Like
they needed an escape.
Hostel was I think I remember going to see Hostel in the theaters, and Hostel was like that body horror, like pre-Human Centipede, and all that. And then, and I agree, House on Haunted Hill, there was a gem. It got lost really quick, but there was something. And that kind of is a lot of those, I think, a lot of these movies. And I think Beast and I talked about this last night, and Dave and I have talked about this a few times too. There's a lot of these movies that we talk about that are our favorites. And some of them, people are like, why are they your favorite? That thing like fell through the fucking cracks. And that happens sometimes. A lot of these films do have that way of just sadly getting lost in the shuffle of like other films. Like, you can say the original Dune was great. You can say Silence of the Lamb was great. But what about Red Dragon? What about the Hannibal television series? People remember those things. But it seems almost like the bad sometimes outweighs the good. We know 30 Days a Night was a great film, but a lot of people remember the shitty sequels.
Yeah.
So, solid picks. I mean, if you haven't watched any of these, folks, I recommend getting Silence. If I have to own any of these 3 films, Silence of the Lambs would be the one I would own. It's definitely a talking point for people. It's a lot of people find it a talking point. 30 Days a Night, read the graphic novels, watch the film. 13 Ghosts, let's pray that Amazon gets their shit together and actually,
not likely.
Let's instead of giving me another Wheel of Time series, give me a 13 Ghosts series.
There's a lot of talk because now they have the rights to go ahead and do Bond now.
Exactly. So
we'll see what happens with that. There's a lot of hearsay, a lot of unknowns. So fingers crossed. But yeah, I think 13 Ghosts. 13 Ghosts is just one of those. We never again. It's one of those movies we never saw anything like that before.
Mhm.
You know,
That's why it's
I
number
mean,
one.
the house was one big machine designed to harness the power of tortured ghosts. And I mean the concept with the glass with the using the safety glasses as the viewer, that was just genius. And it just Tony Shalhoub, before that we pretty much only knew him as Tony Scarpazzi from Wings.
Or
He really,
Monk.
I think this actually
It might have
might have
predated
been
Monk.
before Monk, if I'm correct.
I think it might have predated. This might have been what got him the role for Monk.
Because other than that, I think he did Jack Jeebs from Men in Black.
No, wasn't he on Taxi too? Didn't he do like Taxi?
He was a taxi driver on the show.
No, and Wings. Yeah, I remember Wings. But I was saying, didn't he do like? Wasn't he on like? Because he's an older gentleman. Wasn't he on?
No,
Like,
you're thinking of Christopher Lloyd, who was on the Taxi show back in the 70s.
thank you.
Actually, this was 2002 was Monk,
So
and this
right
was
there.
2001. So this
Yeah.
probably helped him. It showed, he can play very different, unique characters. So, yeah, that definitely contributed to him. Here we go. Give me a Goldfinger show, Amazon, every week. Give me the original Shirley Bassey theme song.
Oh God.
Yeah, he was on Wings for years. Yeah, he was. Let's see here. I own all these on DVD. Silence of the Lambs on VHS also, and Blu-ray also. There you go.
So worth it. So worth it. I mean, again, folks, if you haven't bought the physical media for some of these,
There you go.
a lot of these are getting the HD and 8K format, so you can get the 4K ultras.
The UHD, the Ultra HD, the ultraviolets,
I know that Silence of the Lambs got it a few years ago. They did do that. I think like 3 or 4 years ago they did it. I don't know about 30 Days a Night. I don't know about 13 Ghosts. Those you can get on regular Blu-ray. But a lot of those physical medias are jumping up in price now, folks. So if you are looking to add those to your collection, definitely
hit up like your Walmart bargain bins. Those that they still have the bargain bins, hit them up. I honestly gotta say I've never seen movies at Ollie's, but I'm sure there's other outlets.
Well, Big Lots used to be the place. That's where people used to buy movies.
Used to.
Yeah.
Now Big Lots just an empty lot. What?
Exactly. Big Lots empty. they done close. So, I mean, again, I don't even know where to continue, but I do want to take this time to showcase our guests because I think, Tony, it was so much fun having you on, and I want to just give you this chance now to talk about some stuff that you got coming up because I know that you have a lot of good stuff. I did see the post this morning while my phone was working, when it was working this morning. If you were suffering from the Verizon and Spectrum outages, I was one of those folks. But if you did see, you can follow Tony on the Latin Legion's IG, and I'm going to give him his spot. Please let us know what you got coming up in the next week or so.
First of all, I want to thank you, Dre, as well as Dave Dimensions for inviting me to the show. I had a great time. It's always nice to get together and not only talk horror movies, but just get together with some friends and just shoot the shit.
And you are welcome back anytime. Just know that, guys. There's his links. You are welcome back anytime. Just know that, lower part right here, guys. There's his links. You are welcome back anytime. Just know that, right there, guys. So please feel free to go ahead and check them out. Back out content. Share, like, guys. Follow. Share down. There's his links. Back out content. Share, like, guys. Follow. Share down. There's his links. Back out content. Share, like, guys. Follow. Share down. There's his links. Back out content. Share, like, guys. What happened here? I think we froze for a second.
Remix.
I just kept on. I felt like I had to start dancing for a second.
I know. I was like, do I need to start
share, like, and follow?
I know, like, Wepa. I was like, okay, remix. But yeah, let's try that again for those of you with the benefit of flash photography. Try that again for those of you with the benefit of flash photography. Try that again.
I think it's when I'm sharing the screen.
All right, so don't
on YouTube.
Don't do that anymore. Let's not do that. So good sir, for the benefit of those with flash photography and no longer want to hear the remix version, what do you got planned going on for the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, this Sunday, and Latin Legion's Action Figure Podcast on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to have guest Jeff Evans. He's a part of the toy community. He's also starting his own YouTube with a couple of friends discussing action figures as well, including those of we call it AWOC.
Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, for those
There
of
you
you
go.
that are not in the initiated.
Yes, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. On the show, we talk about toys. We have fun playing games, pop culture. It's an all-around good time. Leading into the next couple of days, the following Wednesday, I'm also on a comic book show with a bunch of let's say not safe for work content with my homie Cobra Dad on the Weekly Habit, also on YouTube. And check out, my friend has taken the lead because I've been doing a lot with Cobra Dad and with Latin Legion. He's taken over the reviews on Toy Locos on YouTube. Check out my buddy Psycho Ed. We started Toy Locos together, and he's been consistent within the last few weeks of putting updated toy reviews. The most recent was the Spawn Kickstarter Medieval Spawn review. Definitely check it out. And once again, I'm a family man. I have my child, my wife. So we try to catch up on all these wonderful movies. Have a couple of recommendations for you guys. I think it's on Netflix. American Primeval. Definitely recommend. If you have access, I think it's to MGM Plus. From on, I think it's not really sure, but it's Arcane. It's our animated animation by League of Legends makers, video game company, and also highly recommend Invincible on Amazon Prime. So enjoy that content. It's great. I like animation. I'm just like like a geek dad as well. And I have my own dimensions. So.
There you go.
Look at that. Gotta give listen, folks. We didn't pay him for this, folks. We didn't pay him for that. That was beautifully said. That warms my soul.
And Dave, just like you're welcome. I really appreciate that you said that. I'm welcome anytime. You guys are also welcome. We're gonna make a schedule that within the next coming months to have you both on the show. Also,
Oh, and Dave actually does have a couple of Mythic Legions that I have purchased for him, and he does have a few, and I think that it would be cool to have you guys kind of walk him a little bit more through that, because I learned a lot more when I was on the show with you guys, and it definitely made me feel a lot more into the Cabal culture. So definitely cool. So awesome. Yeah, we will get together with you, and like I said, you are always welcome back. To come back and hang out with us. We
Thanks,
love
brother. Appreciate it.
So Dave,
appreciate you guys.
So we appreciate you. Now, Dave, what do you have planned for the rest of the week?
I don't have anything planned right now. I'm looking at trying to do a couple streams possibly this week. I'm working on a few bugs using the Streamlabs OBS version. So, because I'm going to be trying to do a few game streams, because Dre knows this, Tony. I actually do an annual fundraiser every year called Stream for the Cure, which benefits Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Institute. So I'm going to be doing some streams. Hopefully, we can start doing some fundraising. Stream for the Cure this year is going to be 24 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The longest one I've done. Usually it's between 8 or 10 hours. We're going to be giving away a hot toy this year. A Star Wars themed hot toy, and we'll be going over those fine details. Dre's working on a few incentives that we'll be giving away for that stream, but I'm looking for anyone and everyone who wants to join, and you'll be free to promote your channel. We're looking at I kind of want to do the Hot Ones challenge for anyone who's open to it.
He is shooting for this, folks. You don't understand. I talked to him about this.
I just think it would be fun. It would be interesting, and plus, who wouldn't love to see me sweat and convulse and go into some kind of shock, and then
I kind of do. I'm not gonna lie. After this
need
horror
medical
episode,
assistance, you know.
I kind of want to see him.
But
definitely send me the details. I could also promote it on the show.
yeah, because my wife and I, we do the Ride for Roswell here in Buffalo. We have a cancer research center called Roswell Park. They do an annual ride every year. Can range between 3 to, I've even done up to 44-mile rides over because I'm in Buffalo, so we do it across the bridge over into Canada, then back over by the Rainbow Bridge for Niagara Falls, and right back around. So we do all kinds of rides. This is the 30th year for that fundraiser for Ride for Roswell. So this year, trying to do something big. Last year we didn't have a lot of positive results for fundraising last year. So this year we're kind of trying to crank it up. So that's why I'm going to do a full 24-hour straight. So no sleep for me.
So I know that we've also touched on this. If you want to participate with us, reach out to Dave or I. Dave is the head of this, running this. But I do this ever since Dave and I have been in each other's lives. It has become very much a part of what my family and I do, because we do donate to this. It is a very good cause. I am procuring a second prize pack. It will come out of my pocket. So this is something that we want to give back, not only to the community, but to people that choose to donate and help others that are in need. So this is something that does holds a very special place in both our hearts. So if you are we will definitely reach out with you, Tony. To David, I'll get the details to you. And again, we said, we've always been pushing out for that. And I know Dave is looking at doing more game content, so definitely check out his channel when he does that stuff.
I've seen a lot of people do some fundraising during game streams, so that's what I'm looking at. I'm actually looking at doing RoboCop, Rogue City.
Oh.
So looking at doing some live streams for that. Either I will succeed awesomely or I will fail.
I want to see
awesomely.
I want to see this, so I have to watch.
So these will be live streams that I'll be doing. I'm planning on probably about 2-hour live streams to break it up, and maybe I'll do some long form content separately with it. So we're doing that. So yeah, that's what I have going on, because don't have any more Hot Toys of my own to unopen right now. So don't really have any reviews unless I do some Joes that I need to unbox, right, Dre?
Oh,
I haven't unboxed the ones you gave me.
So let's go on. So that I love Dave's segue to me. So what do I have planned? Well, I have a box I got to send Dave next week, which is going to have at least, I think, 9 things in there for him to play with, including a laptop, which Dave and I are actually pairing up together to actually see if he can fix this laptop, repair it.
I'm trying to bring a laptop back to life for this guy here.
It's not for me, it's for my wife. And the thing is, she still doesn't know about it. She has asked me what's in the box I'm sending you. She's like, "Oh, you're sending him more."
What's in the box?
Exactly. What's in? You love it? See, what's in the box? So we're going to be working on that together, and I have a bunch of stuff I'm sending Dave because I am kind of leaving the classified realm. I'm leaving a couple of toy lines because I want to focus
for now.
Yes and no. Dave knows why. We are going to Disney this Christmas. I did opt to. The wife and I are pulling the trigger. So we went 3 years ago. We want to go back. This is a big year. My daughter turns 16. My toddler turns 5. It'll be 8 years for me and the wife. We want to do something big. So I felt let's go back. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to be filming that in December when we go. It'll be post-Christmas till right into the new year. Now, as far as my content that you guys are going to be seeing, a lot of people are loving the representation in cartoon series. Big shout out to Brick and Dave for their comments on today's episode that released, which was the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man episode. Y'all don't realize how much that meant to me. That motivates me more to keep doing this series. So we already have.
Gotta check that out then.
We only got the first 5 episodes out of the series, but we are currently going to be going out to 15 more episodes. I'm going to be doing the next episode that'll be coming out next week will be the Casa Grandes. Then it'll be Adventure Time, Owl House, Avatar, The Legend of Korra. And then on the 10th episode, it will be X-Men 97. So every 5th episode of the series will be covering a major Marvel
To me, my viewers.
To me, my X-Men. We're going to be doing that sort of thing. Now, as far as the other content that we have looking at the channel, I know I've been wanting to cover a lot of the stuff reviews for Rory's toys. The problem is she has zero patience, and I expect a 5-year-old not to have any patience to let me film it and review it. So we are going to try to take some ideas of maybe filming her play with the toys and actually have like me and her talk about it, because it's interesting that when I ask her questions about certain things, like we went to Walmart today and she picked out a toy and was talking about the character and why she likes the character. And I want to do more content focused on my kids. My daughter's been way more into anime, and we've been talking a lot about Solo Leveling. If you guys that's one of the most popular anime right now on television. And if you guys are interested in that sort of content, we're going to be doing more of that. So that's what I have planned. I do have a review of a couple of hot toys, and I will be doing a room tour. The office is starting to flesh out. You guys said, I want to see your background. It's coming. So I will be doing some stuff here. We are also on my channel 5 subscribers away from hitting 200. 5. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel and you want to subscribe to my personal channel, please feel free. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, and I'm going to say this with a lot of honesty, Dave and I put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and hours into what we do on this one. Our personal channels we like. This is our baby. And I would love to see this channel.
And when he says that, we mean the Outer Dimension podcast. We want everyone to subscribe to the Outer Dimensions podcast. This is being simul-streamed on my channel, but we want you guys to subscribe to the Outer Dimensions podcast so you can find the latest and greatest news when we're going to do lives or if we're doing any special projects, and we want your inputs or your participation in it. So please go ahead and follow the Outer Dimensions podcast. You can also look us up. I believe we were also on...
We're still on X.
No, I was thinking of our actual audio podcast. I think we had it on Spotify, I want to say.
We had it on Spotify. We're still looking for another podcast
platform.
Platform. So we are, Spotify still has, I think, the first, 15 or 20 episodes.
First season, basically.
Yeah, basically season 1 of the show is still up there, so you can listen to it. And I did want to address, before we go down a little bit of the socials, our big guest next week we have, and the week after, I want to kind of give you guys a spotlight. So we have a Punk with Toys coming on this show, and we're going to be talking about, and I feel like he made a joke to me where he's like, he felt a little typecasted because if it was, it's like he does collect Joes, he talks Joes, and what are we going to talk about? War movies. So it was kind of, I felt like apropos to bring him on and talk about that stuff. And he actually had some really good choices for films. I'm interested to pick his brain and see what he thinks about those. And then the following week is, I think, a big episode Dave and I've been wanting to do about woke culture. We've been a
very special episode of the Outer Dimensions podcast.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. If you guys think the gloves were off, it's further off because Archer, myself, and Dave, we're very close. We've known each other a long time. We are not going to pull our punches. We're going to hit the critics where it hurts. And if somebody doesn't agree with it, we will respect you. But again, our opinions are the fans' opinions because we're the ones that pay the money to the subscription services to watch the shows. I don't care what an aggregator says. I can give 2 shits what Rotten Tomatoes tells me because Brave New World Captain America was a fantastic film. But to them, they said it was a 16% based on like the Marvels. Marvels was another great film. So we're going to attack films like that. I don't think it's going to be a series, but it will be something that we will eventually try to come back to. Allison and Thanos and several other people are doing our shows that we do remakes of. And obviously, y'all know Brick is the unsung hero, 3rd member of the team for when we do our Sentai discussions, which will be coming back later in the month. If I'm not mistaken, we are looking at the next episode of that will be in May. So be expecting that not for a while, because we got a lot of people that want to be on the show in April.
And in another couple months, we will have a very special episode where Dre may or may not be crying
Which was that one?
in regards to the fate of the Equalizer.
Oh God, no, that's being Allison. We both said we're gonna fire up the change.org. We already said that if they take the show off the air in June, we're rioting because that still needs to continue. But yeah, like if you guys have any ideas and you want to be on the show, you have friends that are interested and want to talk, look at people like Beast that's been active in the chat, Alex has been active in the chat. I know that we get Brick that's going to hit us in the hashtag replay.
And we do talk TV shows as well, guys, so don't forget that.
Yeah, the video game and toy content, we kind of don't do as much. We do that on our personal channels. But if you ever did want us to discuss something relevant like toys and movies, Dave and I have talked about doing that as well. So we might do something like Toy Soldiers,
Well, I mean, we did do in the original season, we did do video game movies.
And that series never finished. We still have episodes in that we have to finish. So, oh yeah, we have a lot.
We hashed out the original Super Mario's.
Oh yeah, we talked about Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil. We've done a lot. So again,
I still have that, by the way. I haven't opened it up yet.
And again,
Mario.
Like I said, we want to see you guys participate with us. And like I said, we will be off April the 4th, and then we will be back for several weeks, and then we'll be off on May the 9th. So just so you know, when we take those days off, it's Dave and I. We need a break to kind of like break up the monotony.
Yeah, we have been doing back-to-back episodes recently, so.
And we love, and I know a lot of y'all love it. And I feel bad for our friends that are streamers that are on Friday nights. We're not the same content, so we apologize. But at the same time, it's fun. We like having a little bit more cursing and not being so tight-lipped about what we want to say. So that's what we hear. And a lot of the guests like coming on. Again, Tony, you are always welcome to come back on. Again, I'm going to reach out to Ed. I've been wanting to get Ed on as well. You guys are you're all four of y'all can come here and we can crack jokes about movies and toys, whatever. I'm all about it. Dave's all about it. Again, we thank you again, brother. I really, like I said, I've gotten to know you better. I enjoy our friendship. So thank you so much. Pleasure. Dave, you have anything?
No. Don't have, because like I said, he's welcome back anytime. Dre pretty much has covered everything.
I tried.
And thank you for wearing a new T-shirt today, Dre.
I had to. Allison would have been mad at me if I wore the same one. So see, Allison, I promise you, every Friday, here, Allison, you have to keep notes for me. If you see me wear the same shirt twice in a row, you need to yell at me about it, and I will I will have to participate in the Hot Ones Challenge with Dave.
Now,
if I do.
If I'm recognizing that correctly, that's Yu, isn't it?
This is Yu Yu
Hakusho.
Yes, my Urameshi and Hiei. It's purple for you. I love this. I love
purple.
Purple's my wife's favorite color. It's my daughter's favorite color. It was my mother's favorite color.
Yeah, awesome.
So for me, it meant a lot. And I have my hot toy Urameshi, which I got to take out eventually too. So that I'm looking forward to that. So
there you go.
Yeah, if you guys want, definitely tune in next week. It's going to be spicy, talking about war films. There's a lot of great films in that category, and I'm looking forward to it. And again, as Dave usually likes to always lead off, watch your head as you exit the portal.
And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Peace, y'all.
Take care.
We did that in tandem. That's nice.
Dre and Dave hit it hard in the dark, spinning tales from the void, never bark. Movie shows, they tear apart. Dimensions clash, they ignite the spark.